shadows of the night. So baby, take my hand, it'll be alright.
If I could fly, I'd pick you up, I'd take you into the night.
One more night. One more night.
We were loaded with the night, playing in the shadows. Just you and I, till the morning light.
All through the night, I'll be awake and I'll be with you. All through the night, this precious time when time is new. All the night is my world, city light, painted girl. In the day, nothing matters. It's the night, time matters. In the night, no control. Through the wall, something breaking.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, and I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, can you feel it coming in the air tonight? Oh Lord, oh Lord.
Night people, night people, no night people, night people, no people, no the night people, no night people, 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 no night people, night people, no people, no the night people, no night people, night people. There is a place. The night people know, the night people know, night people, night people. There is a place that only the night people go, the night people go, night people. Gather up your skirts and trousers,
Put on your best frocks and blouses.
time to go out from your houses.
Us we creep round like the louses.
We are people, not just creatures. We can rearrange our features. Think like children, not like teachers. Laugh and let the spirit reach us. There is a place. The night people know, the night people know, night people, night people. There is a place that only the night people go.
Greetings, fellow Earth babies, and welcome to Post-Punk Heartstrings. We are traveling in the night. And if you're a little confused as to this intro and the night, you will be a little less confused once we get into this episode's chat on D.O.X's self-titled album from 1986. I'm Jimmy James S. Butler, and I am privileged to be joined by S. Price Horn, one of my best friends who I've been wanting to get onto the podcast since the beginning. And this album turns out to be the S. Price Horn gateway to Post-Punk Heartstrings. And God willing, it will lead to many more episodes with Price as my guest. I'm not going to spend too much time on this intro because this is an extremely long episode on this strange little album. I debated whether to split it up into two and thought about it and decided, hey, I'm just going to go for it all. I feel good about it. I'm going to put it out there and we're going to see what happens. So the only question left to ask is, are you all ready to ride the light ship?
Join us now, my friends, we hail you. There is a place that only the night people know. People know. The night people know.
James,
Hello.
can you hear me all right?
I can.
All right. Is there anything I need to know before this gets real?
No.
I mean, I don't know that I'm
you
ready.
Know, you know these songs better than I do, so
I'm not proud of that.
probably.
But that's it. That's all I know. I don't know anything
it's not.
else.
It's not all you know. Yeah,
Well,
it's not all you know. Okay, so I got S. Price Horn with me today. What a privilege and honor it is.
howdy, Jimmy James. Yeah, that's me. You can call me S.
I can call you S. S for go with the first initial.
You decide what the S stands for.
Well, I've got a lot of words I can come up with for S.
Yeah, keep it clean. Keep it clean.
Keep it clean.
Jimmy James, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
So I've been trying to figure out a way to get you on here, and the perfect occasion arose because you mentioned to me that you're very familiar. Well, that's very familiar. That's not the right way to put it at all.
Very is generous. Very is.
You knew.
Is it?
You surprisingly knew who D.O.X. was.
Yeah, I don't even remember how it came up or why it would come up.
I have no idea why or how it would have come up, but it did come up.
It came up at some
I
point.
probably posted something, and you said, hey,
Maybe.
yeah, I actually saw them, and I told them I know you guys. I'm going to let you talk because I want to do the background of how we were each introduced. So I'd like to hear what you remember from when you saw them. I thought I remembered you said you had their release.
I did have their first album on cassette
before you saw them.
Before I saw them, it's a weird story because everything about me is weird, and so why would this be any different? So yeah, I had their cassette. I had purchased it for reasons unknown. I'm looking back and just kind of racking my brain to think why would I have purchased this? A little background kind of about sort of the musical environment in which I grew up, in that there really wasn't one. My parents it's not that they didn't listen to music, but they didn't really listen to music. I mean, they had maybe a handful of albums that they would play occasionally. Some, no-name Christian artists from the 70s.
They had no names?
They had, no names that anyone would probably remember. There might be some. Remember Evie Tornquist?
I remember an album called Evie.
Yeah, she was like a Swedish Christian artist. I believe they had one of those and a handful of others, and they would play them occasionally, but not all that often. And so, there wasn't a lot of music in my house growing up, and also there wasn't a lot of money in my house growing up. We just didn't have a lot of money, so yeah. We didn't waste money on music. I mean, come on. Why would you do such a thing? But as I got a little older, and I had a little spending money, and I listened to various types of music, but I growing up in the church, I listened to some CCM type acts, and so I had a handful of cassettes, and I mean that, just a handful. I wasn't excessively familiar with the world of CCM. I mean, like I knew, well, there's Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith and Petra, and that was, I mean. I knew a handful of others. I mean, I had friends that were super into the scene, and they knew every band, and they would rattle off all these names of bands I had no idea of. But so for a while, in junior high, maybe early high school, I was listening to some CCM stuff, and a friend of mine, his parents owned a Christian bookstore in Little Rock, Arkansas, which is kind of the area where I grew up, and I used to go visit him all the time at the bookstore when he was working. And so I recall that was where I bought this cassette, this D.O.X. cassette. Why I purchased it, I really don't know. Maybe I was intrigued by the album design.
By the painting.
Yeah, that it has a very 80s
talk about.
album design. But it was very out of character for me because, again, I didn't have a lot of money to just blow on impulse purchases of a band I've never heard of. I literally knew nothing about them, but something about this cassette kind of drew me in, and so I purchased it and brought it home, and that was my introduction to D.O.X. That was how the cassette came into my possession. I bought it. That's how it
You purchased it.
Yeah, I purchased it with funds.
Did you find a golden coin in the sewer? And then,
yeah,
like Willy Wonka.
And there was a light shining from above upon it. But yeah, that was it.
Terry Taylor was behind one of those big spotlights and just
see. You mentioned Terry Taylor. I had no idea who Terry Taylor was. I literally could not have told you the name of a single person in this band, but I remember D.O.X. I remember hearing them, and I remember being able to see them live at one point when I was but a young adolescent as Price Horn.
I think that's crazy. Like, so that was just happenstance that you got to see them. It wasn't anything planned out. You were just
exactly
where they played.
And the thing is, I very rarely went to live music events. I mean, I probably went to a concert or two back in the day, but where I saw D.O.X. was not at wasn't at a church. It wasn't at some hip music venue. I know it's hard to believe that they would, but it was at a church camp. It was at a church camp. Yes, no. Believe it, Jimmy James. So every year, our youth group would go to this church camp in Texas. It was called Camp Dallas, and it was run by.
Was it in Dallas by chance, or was it?
That's the dumb thing. No, it wasn't in Dallas, and it never was in Dallas. In fact, it was in Sherman, Texas.
I've heard of Sherman.
Well, there's a college there called Austin College. To keep things more confusing, it's Austin College in Sherman, Texas. And we would have Camp Dallas at Austin College in Sherman, Texas. And it was run by a church out of Rockwall, Texas called Church on the Rock, which I don't know if it's around anymore. Yeah, but anyway, so we would go to this church camp every year, and there would usually be some musical guests. Like on the last night of the camp, they would bring somebody in to play for the camp. And I remember when they announced before going into the camp that D.O.X. was going to be the musical act on the last night of the camp, I was like, I was freaking out because nobody knew who they were. They're like, who the heck is D.O.X.? But I'm like, hey, I don't know anything about music. I don't know anything about Christian music, but I know D.O.X. And because I have their cassette, because at the time there was only the one. And well, I mean, there were more than just the one copy that I had. I did not have the one copy of the cassette. I believe they may have printed a few more.
Probably
to distribute and
perhaps as well. I had the second one.
Yeah, the second one. Which here's the deal: I didn't even know there was a second one until.
No, yeah. I had the second copy of that one. I did not purchase the second album.
Yeah. We can discuss that one later. But yeah, so I was super excited about seeing them, and so yeah, the church camp came around. It would have been probably, I don't know, maybe early high school. I'm guessing probably 87-ish.
Was this a large camp?
It's pretty big.
Like a lot of churches went there, or
yeah, it was churches from all over Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana.
Okay, yeah.
Would go and they would, we'd stay in the dorms and everything. In fact, my youth pastor who was also the worship leader at our church. He was the worship leader at the camp, and there's a whole story behind it that it really has nothing to do with this, but we would also.
Then by all means, let's hear it.
If you don't mind me going on. So our little youth group, we had a little drama team. We had a little drama team with the youth group that I was on, and we would do our little skits. They would let us do our little skits there for the camp. So that was a ridiculous waste of time. But
so did you open up for D.O.X.?
To this day, I don't know why they didn't ask me. I just keep going over it in my head, like I was right there.
We'll see if I can get in touch with the Frenchman and find out.
Yeah. So I remember hanging around with a friend of mine there at the camp in our free time, kind of in the area by near where the auditorium was, where all this stuff that happened. And the D.O.X. guys came in, and I don't know how I knew they were the D.O.X. guys because I don't remember what they looked like. But someone had said, well, there's the D.O.X. guys. And I was like, I was freaking out because I didn't know any of their names. Was it printed on the inside of the label of the cassette? Probably.
Maybe. But I don't remember any of these names.
Yeah, I don't.
I had it. And I always read the liner notes very closely. So I knew Terry Taylor was involved, but I'd forgotten all these other names.
Yeah. So, saw him and I was like, hey guys, oh my gosh, hey, D.O.X. And I have all your album, because there was only the one at the time. I remember actually saying that. And me and my friend like pretended to go all Beatlemania on them and screaming and like waving our hands and stuff. And they kind of freaked out and ran off. And then, they did their concert there at the on that last night of the camp. And I vaguely remember them maybe playing some songs that I wasn't familiar with. I mean, I couldn't tell you their set list.
That was the Through the Fire material.
Yeah,
the second.
They must have been working on it at that point, because it was after.
Yeah,
it was after the release of the first one, and I do recall again. I don't remember this.
We got some new tunes we're going to play for you guys today.
Yeah, because that's what everybody loves. Play the new stuff. Hey, that's what everybody loves when they go to the concert. Ooh, I hope they play the new stuff. Who needs the hits? Not that there were any.
The hits.
But yeah, I thought, oh, this will be cool. I'm going to recognize some of these songs, and I feel like I might have recognized a couple. I remember quite vividly that they did not play "Feel the Fire," because "Feel the Fire"
that one
is a track there on that album that I kind of liked. I remember liking very much as a kid. When I went back to listen to that album, these nearly 40 years later, to listen to it on Spotify, I remember the first song coming up, and I'm like, I don't remember this at all. And the next song, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't ring a bell. But when "Feel the Fire" came on, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this song. That's the one song I remembered from the track. So, but yeah, and they played and they did their thing, and I sang along with the songs that I knew, and I kind of just with the songs I didn't, and that was pretty much it. Again, I didn't know any of these guys. I didn't know their names. Would not have recognized them.
Do you remember how many guys there were?
I want to say 4, maybe 5.
Okay.
No more than 5.
That's what I would have figured it was.
I want to say 4, but it might have been
primary 4. That's what I was figuring.
And I remember the lead singer, whose name I know now to be Marc de la Bretonne, I guess is how you pronounce it.
I'm going to let you say it every time because you
de la Bretonne. I don't know if he pronounces it all Frenchy like. De la Breton. I don't know how he. But he kind of, I remember he had this sort of way about him. He had a very dramatic way about him. Like he'd stand there on the edge of the stage with his chin held high, looking like a warrior, on a hill overlooking his troops. And as we talk about them, maybe here to come, some of those, he does have a very dramatic sort of, I don't know, mode about him, but that the way that he was always just sort of, and this is perfect for a podcast, as I'm imitating him with the audio medium of a podcast.
This will be the first video I post. Video podcast,
and it will be the last. But I remember my youth pastor, in a nice way, kind of poking fun a little bit at that way that he was always just being very super dramatic and with the eyebrow raised and and the serious look on his face, like he's a serious man talking about serious matters with the serious lyrics in these serious songs. And it was maybe a little much, but yeah, so that was my D.O.X. experience. Again, long time ago, remember very little about it, but the whole reason that I remember it was because it was something so out of the ordinary that this guy who knew nothing about music, who could not name all these bands and who's in them and all that stuff, suddenly I'm the guy who knows what's going on. No one else knows what's going on. Yo, you're like, know this D.O.X.? What do you think about this D.O.X. prize? Tell us about this D.O.X. And I'm like, well, you see.
Well, let me tell you.
Gather round, children.
Which is one of the same reasons I invited you on for this. I thought this is awesome because I have this great opportunity to get you on here. You've told me I don't know anything about post-punk music. I don't know anything. But this one thing, well, I know it's generous to call this post-punk music.
Yeah, yes. I'm like, so is it though?
But we'll get into that.
Yeah. It is. It does come after punk.
It's
so. If you want to get technical,
So my introduction was through my friend I had a friend who I mentioned, I think, on this podcast a couple times. His name is Glenn. And I went to this small Christian high school, and Glenn lived in northeast Kansas City. This school was over in Shawnee Mission, Kansas. So it was down further south in Kansas. And yeah, I lived in the inner city, and Glenn lived in northeast, and he could get this William Jewell radio station because he just lived just right on the bluffs. By where Cliff Drive, where the bluffs are, where the train yards are and stuff. So he could lift his antenna up just right and probably hold it there. And he could get this William Jewell radio station, and they would play all the kind of edgy, I'm going to use that word, edgy CCM at the time.
Okay.
And so he would tell me these songs from bands, and he'd be like, you should get this cassette. Because I had the funds. I wasn't rich by any means, but I had this like stipend. We'll call it a stipend. My father gave me. He'd give me like $140 a month. It was some weird thing with his retirement that was for me. I can't explain it, but he'd give me this money. So I wouldn't
have known what to do with that kind of money.
So I was the financial backing of the operation. And so he would say, okay, here, I heard this song by the 77s. You should get this band. And so he heard Fill the Fire on this radio station. He's like, oh, here's one. You should look for this. So I went and got it. And that's pretty much it. That was that was my introduction. And I kind of fell in love with the first song we'll talk about. That's written by Terry Taylor. It's a Terry Taylor song. And I'd already been listening to Terry Taylor, and it's very similar to Terry Taylor's other work. Solo work. It's the lyrics,
was that the first
music
recording of it? Had he recorded?
He had not recorded it otherwise at that time, as far as I know. That came later.
Okay.
And I have some comments about that, like his involvement, because it's really weird that the Daniel Amos guys a bunch of them were involved in this. So, but anyway, that was my introduction. And so I knew all the other songs. I really liked that one, and I really liked the last two songs a lot at the time. I think I was a little more into the heavy, whatever. I don't even know what to call those. I have some descriptions of them down when we talk about the songs. Heavy alternative arena rock. I don't know. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. But anyway, mine's much shorter. I didn't have the up close intimate. I didn't get to watch Marc de la Bretonne, whatever his name is. I didn't get to watch him posture.
Posture. That's the word I was looking for.
But that's perfect for his the way he delivers the vocals.
Does he deliver? That man delivers. Over delivers.
So anyway, I just wanted to get the background a little bit, how we got introduced.
I gave you too much background.
That was great. We're 20 minutes in already, and we'll be here till midnight. But no, that's exactly what I wanted. So that's perfect.
Gotcha.
I needed that back behind the scenes Camp Dallas viewpoint.
And I have stories about Camp Dallas, but we don't have time for them.
This one time at Camp Dallas, is that what you...
Yeah, pretty much in that vein.
So I think you mentioned this, released in 1986. The primary musicians, Marc de la Bretonne. I don't know.
I guess.
Sure.
It certainly sounds okay. So it looks French, but who knows how
it does? I don't know. I actually looked up how to pronounce it, and I still don't probably pronounce it right. But lead vocals and piano. Don't forget piano.
He played the piano too. I didn't know.
And I only have guesses at which song it was on, but anyway, we'll get to that further down. But lead vocals, piano. Now, real quick on that, do you remember what he looked like enough to have any recognition of him on LinkedIn? And that's got to be the same guy. There's a guy on LinkedIn. If you search it, he pops up, and I'm like, there's no way there's another guy with the same name.
Yeah,
he's from the same general area. I think they were from California, probably, and he's from California somewhere, I think. But I believe.
You look at the liner notes, and I believe there's some references to stuff in California. And I mean, how many Marc de la Bretonne how many could there possibly be? But I wouldn't. I mean, if I just saw him, there's no way I would.
37 years.
What he looks like. Yeah,
I thought maybe he was imprinted on your brain.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like I'm not a baby duck. Like I wasn't just
following
freshly
around.
Attached.
You didn't become a D.O.X. head.
De la Bretonne.
A D.O.X. head and follow them around
D.O.X.
from state to state in your Volkswagen.
We call ourselves doxies. wait, maybe that's not the best
Okay. Oh,
word. But
that brought up another question, but let me go through the list and then I'll ask you the question. So then Jeff Foster on bass guitar. Jeff Foster, who is also credited with the paintings. I didn't know there were paintings, but the paintings of the front and back cover.
okay,
Okay. I don't know if you saw
they
that or
look,
not.
they looked. I remember
digital
seeing
almost.
yeah, they looked like computer generated. The fact
Yes,
that they were
paintings.
paintings. Well, I guess
According
that's
to the album cover. And so he was bass guitar. Robert Foster, who I assume is related to Jeff, but I shouldn't make,
you never know.
could be. Could be not related. Drums. He's drums and percussion. And boys, there's percussion. There's
Isn't there? Isn't there? Yeah.
And then Rick Lane, lead and rhythm guitars. I don't know if he played them at the same time, but then they had all these people from DA that helped out too. So, and they don't really credit them exactly as guitarists and things, I don't think. I don't know, man. You look at 4 different websites and they credit this album differently. They all credit this album differently. It's weird, but
I'll have to rely on your expertise in that.
Alan Palmer. You know who Alan Palmer is?
The Alan Palmer Project? Don't you remember? Wait, maybe I'm thinking of something else.
I can read your mind. It's the eye in the sky.
I have no
Alan Palmer. No problem.
Of Daniel Amos.
I will say. Let's see. Alan Palmer will do a little thing. I will say the name of one song on the album, and you tell me who Alan Palmer is from the one song I name. Okay, we'll test. Lighthouse.
Okay. Is
what do you
Alan,
think he played?
Is Alan Palmer? Did he play? Was it a woodwind instrument by any chance?
Indeed it was.
Did Alan Palmer was the sax guy?
He was the saxophonist. Yeah, he was a saxophonist. I found one other album he played on by a band called 441, which you probably have no idea who that is.
Nope.
But they were a really interesting alternative type. They sound British, but they're not. Kind of like Adamant or Stray Cat. I don't know. They're weird. They're kind of in between, but they were from the same time period, and he played sax on one of their songs. So those were his 2 credits. Sax on
my understanding is that
song.
He may have been the understudy for the guy from Lost Boys.
The guy, he took his shirt off and that was it. He was out.
Yep, sorry, but we'll call you. Anything happens to this guy.
It's like when Patrick Swayze and Chris Farley were auditioning for the Chip and Dale Dancers.
It's exactly the same deal.
Alan had the energy. Man, he had the energy all day long, and you will see when we get to Lighthouse.
Oh man!
But the shirt off.
I can't wait.
So, okay, Alan Palmer, Rob Watson, who is a member of Daniel Amos, played keyboards. Terry Taylor, Rob Watson, Tim Chandler, those are all Daniel Amos members, were background vocals. And man, there were a ton of background vocals on this album.
Oh, yeah.
Which I didn't really so much realize until I was listening to it over and over again.
Yeah.
with earbuds. Well, I already said front and back cover painting, Jeff Foster. Art direction and layout, Ed McTaggart. He's also a member of Daniel Amos. Okay. I'm not going to get into the engineers. But
well,
Terry Taylor produced.
Why stop now?
Terry Taylor produced, and the engineers are listed weirdly. There's like an engineer, Doug Doyle, I think, and then who's done a bunch of other stuff. And then Doug Doyle is also listed as first engineer under sound and percussion or something like that. And then there's a second engineer, and I forget his name. He's second, so I don't care.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not gonna
first loser.
So, and I think I saw something that said Doug Doyle died at some point fairly recently, but I don't know who he is.
Mr. Doyle.
Other than he was first producer, or no, first engineer and engineer of this album. So that's all I got for the people. Well, yeah, we'll cover. We'll cover the other one person. We'll cover when we get down lower to the song.
Do you ever, in your many researches, figure out what the deal is? Why Daniel Amos was so involved in this?
I have a theory, and I kind of talk about some parts of this a little bit down further, but my theory is that Terry Taylor was like widely, I'll use the word renowned, as a producer for Frontline Records. And this was on Frontline Records. And so I really feel like they were like, we want you to produce this record. And I don't think, I feel like he felt there wasn't enough good material there. That's honestly what I think. And so I think he brought a bunch of stuff in to flesh it out, including members of Daniel Amos, to add to it, because Daniel Amos was kind of known for doing weird stuff. Like they did a band called the Swirling Eddies under a completely different name. Like they each had a different persona name. So it was like a completely different band, but it was all Daniel Amos people with different names. And they did several albums that way. Terry Taylor did, I think it was called The Raptures. Horrible.
Oh, wait.
Do you know who The Raptures?
I remember The Raptures. That was him?
That was Terry Taylor did that.
I remember The Raptures.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, that was...
Yeah, horrible. Embarrassing.
Yeah,
horrible.
It was rough. It was rough.
Hello, everybody. We'd like to introduce ourselves. We're the Raptures, and we're ready to rap about the joy we feel in knowing Jesus as Savior and Lord.
If it makes you happy,
You can move your feet
and rap along.
with the Rapture beat.
And perhaps one
So they did a lot of stuff like that, and I think he probably did The Raptures because he was asked to do it. And Frontline was kind of one of these. It was an edgy label, kind of for the Christian music market. So they had a lot of the alternative type stuff, or the stuff that was a little more poetic and not as much evangelically, like straight line lyrics and stuff like that.
Yeah, which I think that I think holds pretty true to the lyrics on the D.O.X. album. Now this was before Frontline had branched out into the flea and tick medicine.
Yeah. They just
Diversification,
The
it
music
happens.
wasn't bringing enough in,
Just not bringing it in. I get it.
and they figured they could combine the music with they could have the musicians wear the collars and kind of be
I mean, it's styling, it's fashion,
kind of a little more punk. Yeah.
and plus it prevents fleas and ticks. I mean, musicians. I mean,
Okay.
sorry.
In what I expected from S. Price Horn,
Forgive me.
we're digressing. So I have little bullet points here, and sometimes I go by these, and sometimes we just go off topic to whatever.
Fire away.
But genre. Number 2 is genre.
And I assume there's a question mark at the end of the word genre. Because if you held a gun to my head, speaking of bullet points, if you held a gun to my head and said, you need to name what genre this album belongs to, I'd be like, well, had a good run. Because
We're done here.
Well, tell my wife and family I love them.
You'd be like, oh, first song. Okay, I got it. And then, wait.
Wait, what is this?
And then by
This
the
is
time you
an
get to
album?
My Dream of Heaven, everything's out the window. Excuse me. In My Dream of Heaven.
In my parentheses. I love song titles with parentheses.
Well, you got a couple on here.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So yeah, I don't know. Let me read off what I found from online sources for genre, because I've really enjoyed this. So Frontline has a website. So that's the record label they were on. They have very little recognition on the Frontline website, D.O.X. But they do have a page with that album, because that's the only one of their albums that was on Frontline. The only one of their 2 albums that was on Frontline. So Frontline lists them as alternative, and then proceeds to compare them to Whiteheart and Idle Cure. Now, I don't know if you know who Idle Cure is.
I'm not so familiar with Idle Cure. Whiteheart, I remember. I remember Whiteheart.
Idle Cure is very similar to Whiteheart. They're these like heavy rock bands.
Yeah.
Arena rock, kind of.
Yeah.
Idle Cure
like
is
a hard rock.
Idle Cure is maybe slightly heavier, like Bon Jovi or something.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what? You call them alternative, then you compare them to Whiteheart and Idle Cure. They're nothing. I don't think they're anything like.
I never.
Maybe little pieces.
I had some familiarity with Whiteheart, and that does not. Whiteheart is not what I heard. Yeah. I will say that.
And Frontline would not use a genre word in their description. So wisely would not use a genre word.
I wouldn't either. And look what it got me.
Discogs. Are you familiar with Discogs? It's an interesting
no,
little
I'm
site.
not.
You can go there, I don't know, it just has discographies of bands listed. And then it'll have, for instance, it had Alan Palmer, a link, his name in the credits, and then you could click on it and it'll show his works, which were two albums. But it has
like an
Terry
IMDb
Taylor.
for
it's like that.
musicians, sort of, I guess.
Yeah. On there, it also has copies for sale in the different formats, which is where I bought this. So
With
Discogs disc with funds. Probably I spent the same amount you spent on the cassette back in 19. But you might have gotten like one of those stickers, which was buy 4 get 1 free. I don't know if you remember those on. Probably not.
I vaguely remember
because
that.
you didn't buy enough to do that.
I know I didn't, but I may have, because I remember purchasing it at the store that my friend's parents owned. I might have gotten a little. He might have been able to give me a discount.
Did you get a 5-finger discount? You ready to be honest about this?
Yeah, did I say I spent money on it? Yeah, so I couldn't tell you, but okay, that's interesting.
Discogs, they list it as rock and pop. So those two.
I mean,
okay.
I feel like that's calling it rock and or pop. That's a huge umbrella to fit under.
Yeah, they were playing it safe.
Yeah,
I think they were playing it safe wisely. So much wiser than Frontline calling them White Heart and Idle Cure. But Frontline, like I said, didn't give a genre word, so that was pretty sharp too. So there's a website now called Real 80s CCM.
Okay.
And they list albums and kind of, description of them. And then they also it's their mission to get copies of all of these albums that aren't available out of print or whatever, and then digitize them and then put them on YouTube. So they have little blurbs about each album. So Real 80s CCM says, the album has a bit of an Idle Cure sound at times, and at other times I'm hearing a more pop-oriented version of Daniel Amos, which maybe, I don't know.
I'll take their word for it.
Here nor there. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, they don't really sound like Daniel Amos, but there's little pieces of it there just because Terry Taylor was involved in it. And he had a solo album that came out just before this and one that came out after, and it's very similar in lyrics and music, that first song. Other than that, it doesn't sound anything like Daniel Amos.
Okay.
So, to me. So, I want to say that, I didn't write it down here, but it seemed like there was one site that had it listed as, what is it? AOR, which could stand for Adult-Oriented Rock or Album-Oriented Rock. I think it was album-oriented rock that they were referring to, which I had no idea what the hell does that even mean. So I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, which I'm still haven't wrapped my head around exactly. But album-oriented rock had something to do with when on FM radios they started playing tracks like the DJ started being required to play tracks from albums, like you have to play this particular track every hour or, like that rotation. They had a little more freedom supposedly before that, and then they kind of got their marching instructions on here's what you need to play. Like, you can't just play this song off this album that's not supposed to be the hit.
Yeah, I remember.
I don't know why they would come up with a genre called that, but
yeah, I remember back in the day. That we had the local radio stations, and there were the top 40 stations and so forth. But there was a station that was kind of, I seem to recall that being promoted as an album rock station.
Okay.
Like they played the deeper cuts. They weren't playing the singles and stuff.
So I would think it would be the opposite. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go too far down that rabbit hole because, frankly, it was kind of a boring rabbit hole. So I was like, okay, I'm done here. I'm pulling it back. So I don't know whether they use that just more I feel like they were using it more to describe 80s arena rock.
Yeah, maybe.
Which I think you could apply some of that to this, but
I would say there are definitely a couple of songs on there that kind of had that vibe to me.
Yeah.
But
it's all over
overall,
the place. So we'll kind of cover all over the place when we start talking about songs. So,
gotcha.
So I've got the album art. I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I said that they were paintings by Jeff Foster, which threw me because I thought they were some sort of digital, graphics or something like that. Even though 86, they were doing stuff like that in 86 because it's a very 80s cover.
Oh, it is quintessentially 80s. It looks like the cover of a Trapper Keeper is what it looks like to me. Yeah. The grid and the geometric shapes. I mean, that's just so 80s. I mean, that very much dates.
It's got like a pinball feel, but also a space feel. There's stars in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I put that it's got nothing to do with the band name, album title, or content, which I guess the album title and band name are the same. But
right.
But then I put question mark on that, and then I was like, I don't know, were they going for there's a plane. On the cover, there's like a plane, a grid plane.
Right.
And there's balls on either side of these little silver, there's balls hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah, everywhere on either side.
Now I'm rethinking what I remember about this.
And I'm wondering, are they trying to, based on what I know from Terry Taylor's album cover, which is kind of similar in a way because he had an album called Knowledge and Innocence that came out right before this, and it's got like pictures with like a crystal and a prism, and then some planets and stars. And this one has these balls and a grid, and then there's some balls on the other side of it, and there's a ball on top of it. So I'm wondering if they're going for getting past the plane of this life, and you get beyond it, because some of the songs kind of talk about that. I'm being generous with them.
Yeah, well, I mean, now that you say that, I can kind of see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably is not what it is, but
I mean, there were lots of bands in the
pull things
80s
together.
going with a space thing. You know, Journey had all kinds of space stuff on their album covers.
Right, exactly.
Petra did on the CCM side. I remember Petra did a lot of space stuff.
Yeah.
So they weren't long, but yeah,
so
that
probably came down to that mostly.
Yeah.
Just doing something that was 80s, I guess.
I'm sure that if you were to ask Jeff Foster back in the day, he would expound on it, and he would have he could.
Well, here's what it.
Yeah. He pushed his glasses up on his nose. Well,
I didn't even bother looking for Jeff Foster because I thought that's
a very common name. I have a cousin named Jeff Foster. Jeff Fosters are a dime a dozen. They're a dime a dozen in this world. But Mark Bretonne.
Does your cousin paint?
Well, you know, now that you mention
that. Okay. Do you want to say anything about the cover other than that? I mean, we kind of. I don't know what to say. It's cool. That's probably also drew me in to buy it.
Yeah. And the D.O.X. I remember the D.O.X. Do they explain inside the liner notes the whole Defenders of the Cross thing?
It does on the album that I just got.
Okay.
Which was still sealed, by the way. Still sealed.
Still sealed.
No longer. I ruined the value. Ruined the value of the album already, and I've got some comments on that you'll enjoy. But
I look forward to this.
Yeah, you'll love it. You'll enjoy them. But on the album, it does say that. It says it has D.O.X. and Defenders of the Cross, like in the bottom. I want to say it's in the bottom right hand towards the credits. I don't remember that being
like with an asterisk by it.
Yeah. I don't remember that being on the cassette. And I distinctly remember that I didn't realize that's what it stood for. Is that what it stood for?
It standed for a lot of things.
I
remember knowing that's what.
I remember somebody telling me that later.
I seem to recall knowing that that's what it meant. But if it wasn't,
you saw them in concert. Hey, we're Defenders of the Cross.
That's them.
I think there was one of the it might have been, who was it? Okay, I think it was 80 CCM. Oh, maybe it wasn't. It was one of the things I read said D.O.X. is a clever way of writing Defenders of the Cross. And I'm like, is it clever? Is it clever, really? I don't. It's cool, maybe a little bit for 80s, but
I mean, it's like saying S is a very clever way of abbreviating the name Stephen in S. Price Horn. It
is clever.
That's kind of
how'd you do that? How'd you come up with that?
Yeah, it's look, I'm not going to reveal all my secrets. I got to save something. You got to save something for the sequel.
For the next episode.
Yeah.
We're never touching their next album. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's talk about. I have my next section is called glowing reviews. Question mark after that.
Question mark. There's a lot of question marks. I feel like in your notes,
as there should be.
Yeah.
So, Real 80s CCM. This is a pretty good album. That was perfect. that was perfect for the time it came out.
Ringing endorsement.
The vinyl is very hard to come by now, so if you own it, keep it safe. Okay. And I have in parentheses, there are currently 20 copies on Discogs, priced as low as $12 with shipping. Wow. Also on Amazon, you can get it for $23. On Girder, that's GIRDER Music, which I've never heard of, they have a still sealed last copy in big letters for $75. So my still sealed was $6 with shipping. Yeah, mine was $11.
It'll be there for when Christmas rolls around. It'll still be there.
So it is available pretty much everywhere, even on Amazon, which is a lot of the times the out of print stuff isn't. So I'm wanting to say somebody from the record company or something had like a stack of these things that are unloaded. Mm-hmm. So because if it's on Amazon, so also interestingly, Girder Music has a frequently bought together section. So we have DeGarmo and Key. I think it's Streetlight. I'm going to blow it up here. It's called Streetlight. You know what DeGarmo and Key Streetlight is? I think I may have had this and I don't remember.
I don't remember. I mean, I remember hearing some DeGarmo and Key. I never owned any, and so I don't have a whole lot of insight into their discography.
So maybe you've heard of the other frequently brought together artist, Jethro Tull.
You see, that makes perfect sense.
Songs
Think
of the
about
Wood.
it.
Songs of the Wood. It's the name
Of the wood.
Songs of
the
songs.
Wood.
I think it says Songs of the Wood.
Well, I mean,
Something about songs and wood.
I love songs about wood
I'm
myself.
trying to blow it up. Songs from the wood, not of the wood.
Oh,
Songs from the
see,
wood.
that's why I was confused. I'm like, oh, songs from the wood.
That clears
Yeah,
it right up.
no
that one
idea.
word. Total price if you buy all three, $114.99 off Birder Music.
You could have afforded it back in the day, Mr. Stipend,
I could
Mr.
have.
Monthly Stipend.
I could have. That would have blew my whole monthly stipend right there. I could have only went to McDonald's once after that. So
You got to go to McDonald's? Rolling in,
I was
rolling in it.
I just flip it out, flip my bills out, lick them and
Making it
count them off.
rain. Making it rain.
You want some nuggets? I'll get you some nuggets. Okay, so then we come to Amazon. Top reviews from the United States and Amazon. I don't think there's reviews from any other state or country, but okay, the first one you will relate to this. I think.
Okay.
Saw them in Phoenix in 1989 at a Baptist church. So a little later than you, but love the concert and had the pleasure to talking to them later. Pray they're still following God and wish they would make some more music. This was posted in 2015.
Wow. They made a big impression on whoever this person was.
That was Roger Geiser.
Roger. Wait a minute. Roger
Geiser. Then there's there are two reviews, by the way. So this isn't going to take very long. So then the Cav Fam. This is the Cav Fam.
Right, the Cav Fam.
I bought this when it came out since it was produced by Terry Scott Taylor of Daniel Amos, who also had some songwriting credits. It sounds like a more accessible version of Daniel Amos. There's a strong Frederick Buechner influence in the lyrics, which Terry Scott Taylor was a very big Buechner fan of Frederick Buechner. You might know who that is.
I actually I did not until I started kind of digging around a little bit, researching for this.
Very interesting.
This,
right. Yeah.
Especially the first song on the album.
Yeah,
is, I think, heavily influenced by him.
It's very Buechner-esque, as we like to say.
I have to say that I've kind of just read a little bit of his stuff just out of curiosity, just to see.
Yeah.
And it's actually pretty interesting. I might actually be persuaded to dig into some of his stuff now.
Yeah. So
thank you, Terry Scott Taylor.
This goes on to say, I'd call it new wave /rock/pop.
I mean,
okay.
You put enough slashes in there, you're going to cover everything.
Slash. I want to put 10 slashes.
Yeah.
For each
slash.
One for each song. One for each song. And then the Cav Fam says, I think they only made this one album. I now enjoy it on Spotify. So
well, he's close.
But they're wrong. That was 2019. Incorrect, Cav Fam.
False.
You
False,
forgot
Cav
all
Fam.
about their smash follow-up, Through the Fire.
Which
where they left the Daniel Amos boys behind and foraged out on their own, and it was
the rest is history.
It was a miserable failure. Okay, Frontline website, last glowing review from the website that this album came out on, the record label. A Christian alternative band from the late 80s, similar to Idle Cure and Whiteheart. I already mentioned that. Their self-titled debut album was their only release through Frontline Records. Although hard copies are very rare to find. Incorrect.
False.
The album has recently been released digitally for your listening pleasure. D.O.X. is conspicuously missing. This is my comment. D.O.X. is conspicuously missing from the Frontline Records Rewind episodes that began in August of 2012. They started a podcast called Frontline Records Rewind, and I don't remember how many there are. I've only listened to like a couple of them, but there's over 80. There might be 100. I don't know. There's a bunch. I know I saw 80 today. So D.O.X. isn't mentioned on a single one of them. There's all the other groups that were on Frontline are mentioned. So D.O.X. don't get no love. They don't get no love. They could have been something.
Somebody's trying to hide something.
They could have been contended.
They could have been.
They were too clever for their own good.
I have to say, now that they are available on Spotify, and that's how I have been sort of reminding myself of the sounds is listening to it over and over and over on Spotify. Like I've listened to it so much, I kind of feel like I wonder if I am like the D.O.X super fan, like as far as Spotify users.
I've got a comment about that because I had it down a little further on the first song, but I always look at what's the most played song. So the first song, The Hungry and Dark, The Light Ship, that's the most played song on Spotify. And it's like 1,023 plays as of today. All of the rest of the songs are under 1,000. So I'm wanting to think that you and I have put track
D.O.X.
one over the
D.O.X.
1,000 mark.
Yeah, it has to. It has to be.
I don't know how it logs the listens, if it does it by a user or if it does it every time a user listens, or I'm not sure. But I think you personally put them above that mark.
I hope. I like to think.
So you're going to get part of the commission.
I'm like the
what do you call them? The
member of the band. Of the band.
What do you get? What are the things you get that you get like royalties? I think you're going to get some royalties out of this.
A check for 3/8 of a cent.
You're going to be signing them like Jerry Seinfeld in arms and cramp.
Make it rain. That's my stipend. 3/8 of a cent.
There you go. Okay, so yeah, Frontline is the website that said D.O.X. is a clever acronym standing for Defenders of the Cross. Okay.
I guess because of the
Whatever.
X being the cross.
I guess.
That's kind of clever. I mean,
like I said, you knew, I didn't know for a while, and then some guy who was, remember, did you guys have summer interns in your church or anything like that?
no.
Baptist churches had summer interns who were basically, at least the Southern Baptist, and they were basically people who were going to seminary that wanted to be pastors.
Okay.
And so kind of like they would do that as sort of their clinical, clinical work, their internship for a summer. They'd be a summer intern. So one of the summer interns was like, oh, D.O.X. That he had no idea who they were or that they were a band even, but he said, oh, D.O.X. That's like a shortened form of Defenders of the Cross. So I'm thinking they didn't come up with it. So let's not give them the cleverness. Okay. So, but there you go. So that's all I have really on the introduction before we talk about the songs.
I can't wait to talk about these songs.
All right, let's jump into the Light Ship.
The Hungry Dark / Light Ship?
Okay, the Hungry Dark / Light Ship. So yeah, I guess I said there's a couple parentheses, but it isn't parentheses, is it, on this one? It's slash, or is it parentheses?
I don't.
I don't know if it is or not.
Anyway, it's like a subtitle.
I'm looking at my different. I have like about 3 different track listings on here. It's slash Light Ship.
This one has.
It's
this one
the
has
Hungry
2
Dark
names.
/ Light Ship.
/ Light Ship.
Which is it? They couldn't decide.
Which is it?
Terry Taylor could not
can
decide.
Be both. It can
what
be
he wanted
both.
to call this. No, it cannot. Can't be both.
So
it can't be both.
Yeah,
no, can't.
The title, I know, comes from a book and also an essay / sermon by this Frederick Buechner guy. He actually has a book titled The Hungering Dark, and it's a collection of writings, essays, and I think some sermons maybe that he preached. But one of them is titled The Hungering Dark. One of these essays is titled The Hungering Dark, and it literally and I actually found it online, read it. It has literally nothing to do with anything in the song.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's about the longing for the return of Christ.
Okay.
And I wonder if he just liked the sound of the Hungering Dark.
I think probably so.
Yeah.
I think probably so. I can't pin down what the song means.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm usually pretty good at picking them apart eventually, but I don't. With this one, I couldn't quite get it. I think little bits and pieces. I'm like, okay, that probably means this or might mean this, but God maybe, grabbing you and taking you through life. But then there'll be a lyric that totally doesn't sound like it's contradictory to that. So I'm like, okay, I don't, it's super poetic. I like that, but
yeah, I don't know who's singing this. Like as far as who is the persona, who is the character singing this song? Exactly. What is the point of view of this person? What is the story here? And the weird thing is, I honestly have no memory of this song at all from back in the day. I really don't. It's the first song. You think it would be the most. Well, I really don't remember it. But this is the song where you really get that kind of new wave vibe. I think I got a really kind of almost an ABC kind of vibe off of it a little bit, especially in kind of the way he delivers some of the lyrics there as he's singing them. But and there's so much poetic imagery in here. But I don't know if it holds together. I'm not sure what it's saying. It's like you said, I don't know what it means.
said sky. In distant shades I walk to silent nights where tears go by. My longing heart can't hear you cry. I sense the coming storm. I find you, little child. I come to take you home out of the sunless wild. We never will look back like twilight slumber falls. I roam beside a dream again. Beneath the blood-red moon, a shadow hides. The ghost wind besides my broken heart can't feel you die. I grab the phantom's hand. I hold another child. Must flee that shadowland. Escape the sunless wild. We have no time to lose. Here comes the hungry dark. Here comes the night. So take my hand. We'll sail the light ship till we reach God's golden land. Now breaks the dawn again. The hungry dark dies in the sun. The light ship sails on.
I like ABC. I didn't even think about that, but I like that. I thought of Ultravox or Roxy Music or something, and I thought of, like, it sounds like a song that would be in some 80s movie, or I don't know, like The Never-Ending Story or Labyrinth.
Oh,
or
yeah.
I don't know.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because on a later song, I kind of had a similar feel, that it sounded like a song from a movie in the 80s. There's no question, I think, that if you were to listen to this, you would not have any trouble placing it in that decade.
Yeah.
It's clearly an 80s
Irregardless of the genre confusion.
Yeah.
That belongs there.
Yeah, so there's one thing that I did notice in this, and we will come back to this maybe in a later song, because I noticed that on this album, and I would have noticed this back in the day, but when you listen to it 75 times, you start to notice some trends and some themes. Some of this stuff comes up again. Some of the language comes up again. Some of these stylistic choices that they make in the song, I feel like, are reused elsewhere in the album. For example, and this is something you're going to see, I think, many times in this album. The chorus: "Here comes the hungering dark. Here comes the night."
The night.
That is get ready to hear
ready for
the night a lot. Yeah. If you're going to use the night light, obviously it makes sense.
It's a good choice.
It's a great rhyme. It's a great rhyme.
I have a note here. I went and looked, and I might have this wrong because I searched really quickly, but the word night is in 5 of the songs, which I thought it was in more. But
well, there's not that many songs.
I found that it's in half the songs, and the word light is in 4 of the songs. But yeah, there's definitely the night is a recurring theme. Or maybe not theme, but I don't know, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, it's just it's a lyric that they
idea.
It's an idea. But you know what? Here's the thing: they're not. I'm not even going to fault them necessarily for it, because in the '80s, the night was a big thing. Think of all the songs that mention
Shadows of the Night.
Yeah, running
through the shadows of the night. Night Ranger. Come on, man.
Yeah, Laura Branigan, live among the creatures of the night. Feel the beat, DeBarge. Feel the beat of the rhythm of the night.
What was the deal with the night in the 80s?
Yeah, it was. Don't Stop Believin' uses it like half a dozen times.
Okay.
So the night's a big deal. The night's a big deal.
So they came by the night, honestly.
Yeah. So I won't fault them.
I think it is interesting though that Terry Taylor wrote this song, and our Frenchman wrote many of the other ones.
Yeah, that's true.
That also used the same. So I feel like maybe Terry Taylor had a lot of input into the lyrics. I don't know. Maybe not. Well, maybe. Yeah, not. I don't know, because the rest of the songs are they're different lyrically for sure.
Yeah, that's true. there's a thing in here about just talking about this, not understanding who is singing this. What is the character?
What
I
perspective
sense
it's
the coming
coming from.
storm. I find you, little child. Okay, so that kind of suggests maybe that like a God type figure.
Yeah, I've come to take you home out of the sunless wild.
We will
So
never
that's
look back.
like the God figure type.
Yeah, and then later, like he's talking about, a shadow hides, the ghost wind sighs. That's the way he's sighs. My broken heart can feel you die. So is the little did the little child die? Did you find a little child and he died?
That's what confuses me.
It's a person going around searching for little children and they die.
Did the children die, and then because at the end there's a bridge that says pictures in my sleepy eyes of silver waves so deep, painted there by wounded hands that guide the sailor's sleep. To awaken in those arms and cross the golden shore is living ever, dying nevermore. Sail on. So is it dying and then living the afterlife? I don't know.
I guess.
I couldn't really grasp it. Yeah, I couldn't make all the lyrics fit together.
Yeah,
that made sense to me. Unless he's jumping back and forth between perspectives or something.
But I imagine when I heard this as a teenager that it seemed very profound. It does have this vibe of being profound.
Yeah.
But the more you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, that's deep, man. Deep, man. Blood red moon and all that stuff. And then you think, but what does that mean?
But what does it mean? And then you move on to like a hard rock or guitar crunch.
Yeah. Also, I will point out there is a section in here where they kind of do something musically where they're singing and then the words and the music stop. I don't know if there's a term for that. You know what I'm talking about, right? Where the music stops and there's a brief pause where there's nothing. Yeah. And then they jump back in and start singing. Yeah. They do that on like 3 different songs on this album.
That's pretty interesting, I think. Yeah. I think that adds something somehow.
I don't think I even really noticed that until like the last, 17, 18 times I was listening.
17, 18 listens.
Yeah, yeah.
I always knew that on this song, but I didn't realize on the other ones.
Yeah, we'll discuss it.
It'd like come back.
Yeah,
in.
Here it
comes. I had a bunch of just little questions I wrote. From the perspective of God, ? Is the dark hungry for a person? ?
I guess.
What is the light ship? ? Golden land, streets of gold? ? Wounded hand, Jesus scars in his wrist? ? I don't know. I have questions really, but like I said, I usually can kind of after a while it kind of comes together in my head where here's what I think it means, whether that's right or not.
Yeah. Obviously there's religious, imagery, Christ imagery in there, but they're not being super overt about it, or are they?
Yeah. I did make one other comment. Like I put does not fit with the rest of the songs.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Even the other song that I don't think fits on the album at all, which is "In My Dream of Heaven," which we're not.
Yeah, that one is. I'm like, that one is.
This one I don't say. Why did you put it on the album? I just don't think it fits. It's just different musically. Maybe I should say it's different instead of it doesn't fit on the album.
Yeah.
So 1,023 plays on Spotify. Just thank God it's there.
It ain't nothing.
It's holding. It ain't nothing.
It ain't nothing.
And the rest, like I said, the rest don't even give a value. They just say less than 1,000.
Well, it's more plays than I've gotten on Spotify. You don't get so. Who am I to point fingers?
That's because you haven't done the audio version of your book yet.
That's coming. That's coming.
That's on the way. Oh, so yeah. The other thing I put was I referred to earlier in our conversation to Terry Taylor's album Knowledge and Innocence, which came out in 1986. I think right before this, or close to the same time at least. And so the lyrics that are in this song, there's a lot of similarity. Some of the song titles on his Knowledge and Innocence album: Dancing on Light, Out of, in parentheses, Out of, The Wildwood.
Okay.
On his next album, A Briefing for the Ascent, 1987, song titles: A Briefing for the Ascent, Beyond the Wall of Sleep, The Wood Between the Worlds. So there's all this kind of mystical type of imagery stuff. In those albums, were all about kind of like, some people won't like that I say it this way probably, but the mystical side of God and religion, kind of. And
there is one.
Briefing for the Ascent is a lot about like moving through this plane and going on to the heavenly playing or the afterlife. So it's almost like that song was an outtake from his other work. He's like, I got this extra song here, or I'm writing a bunch of songs. Here's one that you can put on this album. That's what it feels like to me.
Kind of fill it out a little bit.
Knowing his other work. And Daniel Amos was also releasing albums at this time. And that song kind of falls between Terry Taylor's style and Daniel Amos' style. Daniel Amos is a little more of the art rock, kind of new wavy type stuff at the time. So,
and you said this was one that he had re-recorded?
Yeah, I think you told me that. I think I remembered that after you told me. I don't know when he re-recorded it, but
it'd be interesting to hear his version of it.
I think it's on Bandcamp, his re-recording of it, that you can listen to for free. But yeah, but it's like, here's some lyrics from the song Beyond the Wall of Sleep. Beyond the Wall of Sleep, hold my hand, I'm here, my old friend, till you have gone beyond the wild wood's end, far enough to join the one you love. In your eyes grow the shadows long, the season's ending and your work is done. Your heart has known a world to call your home, beyond the wall of sleep. So it's kind of similar.
Yeah, it's got
in a poetic type cadence to it.
Yeah, not the same, but it kind of rhymes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
They kind of,
yeah.
There's like,
yes, exactly. It's not the same, but it kind of rhymes. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah, because now that you've given me some of that imagery, looking at the crossing the golden shore and out of the sunless wild, there's that wild.
Sunless wild. The wild comes up a lot. So then we jump into the Frenchman's work.
Here we go. This is what I've been waiting for.
Aim for the heart. Oh, my first comment: sword drills. Did you guys ever have sword drills?
No, we didn't.
You don't know what that is? So
no.
Seriously, okay. So in Southern Baptist churches, they call them sword drills, and they were you'd hold your Bible, and they'd give you a verse, and you'd have to find it. And whoever found it, it was called your sword drill, because it's the sword of truth is the Bible. And so
okay,
I thought that when I heard this.
Aim for the heart.
That's like
a two-edged sword.
Yep. Okay, so this is the beginning of Marc de la Bretonne's very straightforward evangelical type lyrics.
Oh yeah. There's no.
The poetry's gone.
Yeah, and it's it's a guy up on the stage thumping a Bible and wiping sweat from his brow. I mean, there's no subtlety at all to this at all. There's no imagery that you just kind of, what is that? No, we're talking about the Bible, and this is what and it's just right in your face.
I put a note. I said he can't even let the listener figure out the metaphor, so he spells it out. Because part of the lyrics are, "The word of my God is likened unto a two-edged sword." After he's already saying about the two-edged, I'm like, that's
is likened.
Oh, you're talking about the word of God likened unto.
Oh, okay.
Two-edged sword.
It is a little confusing. I remember, listening to this, and once I kind of got an idea of the lyrics, I kind of feel like, so he's talking about how the word of God is the two-edged sword, aiming straight for the heart, but he also talks about the enemy, being ruthless, cunning, and he is shrewd.
And he is shrewd,
and he's also aiming straight for the heart.
Right.
I'm like, wait,
yes.
Who's?
I don't know.
Who's aiming?
Are we aiming for him? I guess we're aiming for each other's heart.
There's a lot of heart aiming going on.
And there's one part where it says, "Don't be caught running once the battle starts," because he's playing for keeps and he's aiming straight for the heart. And I put, I know the enemy is shrewd, according to what you were saying earlier, cunning and shrewd.
Yeah.
But it's awfully difficult to aim for someone's heart when someone's back is to you if they're running away. It's difficult.
It is hard.
So maybe running might be a good option, actually.
This is a song where we already got a lot of the lead singer's sort of his very dramatic delivery on the first song.
Absolutely.
But here, he's got that the enemy of the ruthless, cunning, and he is shrewd.
I gotta tell you, I put on here, I love the way he delivers those lyrics. I like it.
He's all in.
And he is shrewd.
Dude's all in. He's given 110%. There's no question.
Yes.
He's not phoning it in. I'll give him that.
And he is
maybe the lyrics are confusing, but he owns it. He owns it.
I feel like he elevates the lyrics a little bit. I got to be honest. I feel like his delivery, and as we'll see in a lot of these songs, the value of the background sounds and vocals, which are really weird in some of these songs. I don't know if you listen to this with earbuds at all, but
I do.
There's some la 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 weird stuff in this song. some of the time they're doing things that almost sound like chants or
Yeah, like they're singing a completely different song in the background while he's
the 80s evangelical mother of the day would hear some of this stuff and think they were they were pagan worshiping some of these chants and stuff. They're really kind of expertly mixed and they lend to the song, but I feel like if it was just these lyrics and he was just delivering them like super straight, and all the rest of the stuff wasn't there, it would really be horrible.
Yeah.
But I don't think I want to say I love this song. I mean, I love this actually. I mean, maybe love's a strong word. But when I first started listening to this again, I started laughing at the beginning of every song. I'll just tell you that much. The more I listened, the more I was like, I don't know. Like you said, he's not phoning it in.
Yeah. I think on this song and maybe some others, he's walking a very fine line where it's very easy to go over the top and become ridiculous. Yeah. This is one where I think he's on that knife edge, because there's some parts of this that are like, dial it back a little. But again, he's not phoning it in. He's into it.
And neither are the musicians.
Oh, yeah.
Because like I said, I started laughing when this came out of the gate. And then the synth guy, who has this repeating, dun, dun, dun. Just over and over again. And the drums, like the rolling drums. I don't know.
I could see this, and I don't have enough clear memory of the time I saw them live. I can see that being a real crowd pleaser.
Yeah, definitely. This would definitely have been a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
In '87 at a concert, at a Camp Dallas concert.
Nowhere else.
With hundreds of kids.
Of evangelical teens.
I don't know. Yeah, I said the music hovers somewhere between heavy metal, arena rock, and new wave somehow.
Yeah.
It holds on to some sort of post-punk vibe because it's got all that background chanting, and his vocals have a little bit of echo on them, sort of. Not exactly echo, but kind of like he's in a cave a little bit, kind of. And then the synths. I think those are the things that kind of pull it out of being strictly arena rock or
Right.
rock. But
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to classify this one.
yeah. So and then like I said, I just put very 80s evangelical spiritual warfare.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Again, super 80s.
nothing like the first song. Nothing.
Oh no.
Nothing like the first song. What do you consider the genre of this song? If you just this song in a vacuum, like
I'm probably not the right person to ask this because I don't know that I have.
I can't even think of a band I would compare this to at the time. Even I don't Rush. I have no idea who I would even compare this to.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Such a
I don't know.
weird song.
I don't know.
I mean, it's not weird, but it's weird at the same time.
Yeah, which I mean, that's something kind of in its favor, I think, where you can't classify it as, well, this sounds like this has got the whatever sound or the whatever sound. It's its own thing, and that's not a bad thing, because a lot of times you'll hear, especially in CCM of the 80s, it was always sort of compared to, well, this kind of sounds like this.
If you like this band,
this is not a secular artist or whatever, but I don't know who this sounds like. Just sounds like D.O.X.
It's a really interesting. Even the guitar solo in this doesn't sound straight up heavy metal guitar or hard rock guitar. It's got some sort of fuzz to it, barely maybe.
Yeah.
Strange. When the thunder starts to roll, and there's a line, "Oh, the battle's begun. The thunder starts to roll, and there's these rolling drums."
Yeah,
it's like
it's not subtle.
You guys are giving it all,
song.
baby. The prize isn't land; it's your very soul.
Oh, so it's not land.
It's not.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood because all this time I assumed
I thought we were on the light ship heading to the shore, which would be land.
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
Here.
And
then there's chanting in the background at that part, "Hey, hey," over and over again.
Oh, wow.
That you can't really get unless you're listening to earbuds and you're really listening to it.
Because it's
a lot.
Pretty subtle. Aim for the heart.
All right. We're going to bring it down. Or are we? Going to break it down? Lighthouse. Did you have anything else on Aim for the Heart?
I didn't. I don't have anything else on Aim for the Heart.
Oh.
I think you like it probably more than I do. It's so.
Yeah. When I went back to re-listen,
hitting you over the head,
and now I'm like, I hate that part of it.
You can appreciate.
You know me enough to know I hate that part of it.
Yeah.
These songs.
But you can. I like that you can appreciate the artistry of it, even if.
I just
kind of obvious.
I used the word love, but I think I love that he somehow, the way he delivers these just straightforward cliche type of the time lyrics of beating you over the head are kind of elevated for me. It's kind of maybe I just feel like it's comical in a way, like that you talked about. You watch that fine line. It's kind of awesome in that way. It's so part of it's maybe nostalgia a little bit for me.
I get it.
Oh boy. You ready to open up with some keys on Lighthouse?
Yeah. we sailing on to Lighthouse?
Where are we at? We got some keys happening.
Yeah, that opening little keyboard riff, it reminds me, again, it's 80s, but I remember, as I mentioned before, our youth group pastor, who was the worship leader at our church, he played keys. And that particular setting on
was it a Hammond or a Roland? Was it?
Yeah, I mean, he used that setting because it doesn't sound like a piano. It really doesn't sound.
Yeah.
But what does it sound like? I don't know. But it sounds like. I remember him going to that well a lot.
Oh yeah, that was the well.
The altar call at the end of the service, playing stuff gently, using that setting on the synthesizer. So. He's not alone in this. That was a very very common key sound.
Yeah.
At least that I remember hearing a lot anyway.
Like a lighthouse on the water, you guide me through the night. Like a ship tossed by restless seas, I'm guided by your light. Keep sailing, follow your wind, sailing on till the journey's end. This ship is on a journey through seas unknown. And I'd land
lighthouse. Like the lighthouse on the water, you guide me through. Say it with me.
The night.
The night.
The night.
The night. And
everyone, the night.
everyone.
That's what he did too at the concert. He held the mic out at the.
Everybody screamed, "What? I don't know the words here."
No, he didn't hold the mic out until later towards the end.
Yeah. And sailing. This is
Sailing
our
again.
first because we were sailing on with the lightship under Hungry Duck, and now we're sailing
Yeah, so
on.
sailing is, I think it comes up again later too. Maybe. I'm pretty sure it does. Something related to sailing. So, I put this as like straight out of 70s, 80s arena rock. The song has got like a real epic feel to it. Though.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I got a little bit of a Journey vibe off of it. Some of their ballads, that they're known for. A little bit of that.
Night and Light. Again.
Yeah, Night and Light.
More Night and Light.
And this is okay. So not only are we using the sailing, we're using the night, but we're getting the vibe about you're on a journey. Lord, bring me to safe harbor. Sailing on to the journey's end. So again, are we again talking about dying?
I think so.
Why?
I think so. I don't know.
What was going on in his head?
I don't know how Aim for the Heart fits in. Maybe that's the spiritual battle along while you're journeying.
Once you've been stabbed.
While you're on your way
stabbed. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's talking about the journey. Yeah. This is kind of dire.
Yeah.
These messages so far are kind of dire. You're going through this life, and life's gonna be a bitch. By the way,
yeah,
it's gonna be hard. You're gonna be caught in a storm, my little child.
My little child.
It's gonna be spiritual warfare. You're gonna be traveling. Oh Lord, please bring me to safe harbor.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But you're sailing. At least you're sailing.
The good news is
on
you're
the
almost
light ship?
to the end.
Are you sailing on the light ship?
The light ship.
It doesn't say it.
Hey.
I feel like it's. Of course,
the price is your soul. If you're not on it, that's
that comes. So this was written. This one was written by the Mark de la Bretonne or whatever his name is, and then Hungry Duck by Terry Scott Taylor. But there's a lot of overlap.
That's why I think he maybe had some involvement in saying, "Hey, you should write about this," or "Hey, do this." Because Terry Scott Taylor, Taylor Scott, Terry Scott Taylor did not. Taylor Swift Scott, and Kelsey did not write this song. I'm 100% sure they did not.
4 years old, I think.
This would put an end to her concert series.
Yeah.
wouldn't you just?
Imagine
hearing if Taylor Swift covered one of these songs. When I was a little girl, my daddy used to play this cassette.
Because
I'm going to do Lighthouse for you.
I don't
know why I sounded like that when I was doing Taylor Swift.
I don't know either. The Lighthouse. Again, it's not as maybe poetic or as Hungry Dog. It is somewhat using some cliched.
There's a metaphor
sort of
there,
imagery.
but it's very cliche and
obvious rhymes, night and light. But I mean, I feel like it's kind of covering that same ground, which I guess.
How did you feel about this song musically? I want to hear your input first before I give mine.
Well, it's
because we have. I mean, we're not talking about the big deal here. But go ahead.
Yeah, we're dancing around it here. Yeah, I would say that this is not really scratching any itches that I have. It's not really maybe my not to my taste.
This is not my taste.
Very dated. It's very dated.
Very dated. And again, this must be nostalgia for me because it's not my taste, you know that. But I don't know, listening to this over and over again, I started to really dig this song. I never did when I first had the cassette. This would be a skipper.
Yeah.
Most of them would be a skipper.
A skipper on the light ship as you're sailing on?
The first
skipper!
Little buddy. Oh, little buddy. I think when I had the cassette first, I would listen to the first song, and I would listen to Fill the Fire and Zero to None. And then I would listen to definitely the last two songs I would listen to. So, I don't know. I do feel like it's epic. We get that sax in there.
Oh man!
We get the guitar solo.
It's smoky sax.
Oh man, Alan Palmer's listening to this saying, "Why ain't you guys mentioned me yet? Guys, I stole the show."
It's Palmer's time to shine.
It's Palmer's.
The 80s, I think.
And shine Palmer does.
Yeah. I guess were the 80s kind of pretty much peak of as of pop saxophone use? Like, I don't remember a whole lot of saxophone use since
87, then. I guess 87 it was still happening, right? Because Lost Boys came out in 86. Or this was 86. So 86, that's when the Lost Boys soundtrack came out, I think.
And there was a lot of saxophone.
Used sax. Yeah. There was other bands that used it, right?
Oh, yeah. You listen. Glenn Fry uses it on some of his stuff.
Probably more than didn't use it.
Yeah. So I mean, what I'm saying is the sax was very much in evidence in the 80s, and I think if you were to graph it, it drops precipitously once you hit the 90s. There's just not a lot of sax going on.
Yeah, unless you're Kenny G in it or something.
Well, I mean, obviously a master like Kenny G. That's a given. But
that's a given.
Yeah, the rest of it, yeah. I remember, and I hate to say, I mean, you're right in that these songs have a way of sticking with you, even if you you listen to it and you're like, this isn't really kind of my thing. You find yourself playing it in your head later, hearing it. Yeah. There are several of these songs that I had, forgotten about over the last 4 decades, but I find them stuck in my head and playing over and over in my head.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, and that's on you. That's on you.
Sorry, I did that to you.
Not happy about it. I can't delete it. It's there now.
It's gonna be there.
It's etched upon the wrinkles of my brain.
It's under gray brain matter now.
It folds.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I keep saying epic, but I think it's the song. This song has everything that someone who loves this kind of music wants.
Oh right.
It has the guitar solo. It has the sax. It has the it has the part where it slows down in just the keys. That keyboard's there again, and then it goes back into, and then it ramps back up into the sax and the guitar, like the vocals, kind of like fading out. So, but yeah, it wasn't my. I was about this time I was getting more into the poetic type lyrics and a little more challenging and. Not dumbed down as much. So
yeah, I get that because I remember going through a very similar phase. Probably around that time of kind of reaching out and connecting to that type of language. To the point where you're writing terrible high school poetry and everything that uses stuff that you think is profound, but it's the kind of images that you pick up from songs and things that you read and everything, and you're like, oh wow, that's profound, man, and it makes an impression on a certain kind of person at a certain age, and I was that certain kind of person, and I think you were too.
Yeah, exactly. So all right, baby, we're switching genres. 0 to None.
0 to None.
Now on Spotify, you know what the name of this song is on Spotify?
Was it not 0 to None?
It's 0 to 1.
0 to 1. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it's 0 to 1. It's also listed on a website called Last FM. I don't know if you know what that is. I've come across it a lot.
I remember
because I research for music and Last FM comes up. It's also listed as 0 to 1 on Last FM. But if you go to Spotify right now, you will see 0 to 1.
I guess I've never
noticed. That is
noticed.
not the name of the song. I checked the album. It is 0 to None because 0 to 1 really doesn't make. I said it 0 to 1. So you're telling me there's a chance This is what you're telling me. There's a chance.
You're telling me there's a chance.
No, the chances are 0 to none. Boy, you're on the run.
Run. Yeah. So this song sounds to me like he watched. He could have watched any movie from the '80s. You know, you're talking like a Less Than Zero or something of that nature, where these fast living Brat Pack types. Your Robert Downey Jr.'s and your Emilio Estevez's, your Rob Lowe's and such, where they're living the wild life, and you kind of get that imagery from this. Of a person who's living that kind of life.
It's so insulting. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The lyrics on this thing are they're perfect for. I mean, that's exactly what CCM musicians were writing about, stuff like this. But it's so one-dimensional. Like,
oh, absolutely.
If you're out till 3 a.m., then you ain't up to no good. Like you're or 2 a.m. or whatever he says. It's like, you know,
the sound of it is. Well, I mean, beyond just the lyrics, which, by the way, the chorus, you're running from the light.
The light.
You're running from the grace of God, running through, let's all say it together.
The
night. Rhyming light and night.
Playing against the odds, is that what it says?
Yeah. So, you know, there's the lyrical stuff, but the sound of it is so, well, I made we were in the car the other day. I made my wife listen to some of these songs. She's like, let me just listen to the first little bit of it and then skip to the next one.
And then every one you played, she's like, no, leave it on, please.
Yeah. You know, I don't remember her saying that at all. She was like, no, skip. But I think it was this one. When it started, she's like, and she said she was getting kind of a knockoff Billy Idol vibe from it a little bit, from just the rhythms of it. But the sound itself is so generically 80s. You talked about earlier about a song that I think you were Hungering Dark. You said that it sounded like it could have been from a movie, like an 80s movie. This 0 to None sounds to me like production library music. They're like, I need kind of a fast driving 80s sounding song.
We need something that's going to open up. We got an opening scene for this movie. We got to open it up.
Yeah, he's driving a sports car.
He's on this. He's on.
He's got
a delivery boy driving a sporty car, and he's throwing stuff out.
And he's going to the parties, and he's got his sunglasses on, and the hot girl comes by, and he kind of pulls him down,
sunglasses.
Pulls him down, and but that is what this sounds like. It sounds like generic really 80s. Does. I need some 80s rock music, and this is what they would pull up.
Yeah.
Obviously, they would probably not be talking about running from the grace of God in any of these songs, but it's just got that vibe. It's got that very generic 80s vibe.
I put. Are we switching over to techno new wave now?
Yeah.
And I put. Oh wait, is this Elvis? Is this the Elvis blues? You step on the new blues with you. Where's it? Tight drums, odd percussion, vocal echo, like what you just said. It's what you said was perfect. It sounds like a song they pulled out of a library, you know, for some scene they wanted or something like for 80s. Yeah.
Yeah. I watch a lot of bad 80s action movies on Mystery Science Theater and Riff Tracks. I don't know if you're familiar with those.
Yep.
They play these horrible 80s action movies, and this is the kind of music that is in the soundtrack. It's just you're like, that's that, and it fits so perfectly. Lyrically, again, we're reusing a lot of the stuff. Again, we talked about the light and the night.
Yep.
Boy, you're on the run. They use running a lot. Running from the light. I feel like there's running imagery throughout this whole album that you'll see. But yeah, it's just this is the kind of stuff.
It smacks me so much as that evangelical message again.
Yeah. Out running around to all hours.
Yeah, he's right. The lights go out. Where's your heart tonight? Because there's light and night.
Yeah.
Did you leave it in some empty bottle or in a dream that you can't forget? The things that you seek for pleasure, these are the things that the fire burns away. Did you ever stop to think maybe
Remember
you're
that
wrong?
fire.
Your soul is the price you pay.
Yeah.
So there's that soul price you pay again that we heard in the other song. You're running from the grace of God.
Yeah, it's crazy how much stuff reoccurs in this album.
It's insulting in a way.
Yeah,
it's like over the top.
Soul's the price you pay. And it talks about the fire, things that the fire burns away. And then literally the next song, spoiler alert, feel the fire. They're just I just
think that the lyrics like this, they don't leave any nuance, in salvation or Christianity.
I would agree with that.
It's all very like black and white. If you're doing this, then you're on the wrong side of the
It is about
God's
what
will.
you do. It is about what you do.
Yeah.
And you have to fit. We have a box, and this is the box that you need to fit in. If you are outside of this box, your soul is the price you pay.
Your soul is the price you pay.
And anything that smacks of quote unquote the world is what's outside of this box. And dancing all night, drinking from a bottle.
Yeah.
Blue suede shoes.
Blue suede shoes. Oh my God. How'd you like the little little synth bridge? The little dun, 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 you know what I'm talking about? There's like this little part in the middle that's and it's got a weird chorus in the background. They did a lot of synth chorusing, which kind of added something, but it I don't know. It was so weird. I don't know. So thumbs down.
I mean, it's memorable in some ways.
Mark's listening.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the word
It is memorable.
It's just
it's
the
catchy.
word I keep using is generic.
I think there's
generic.
catchy the way he delivers.
Yeah.
0 to none, boy, you're on the roll.
Yeah. I wasn't even actually sure what he was saying. 0 to none. But the way he delivers it,
I honestly, I've listened to this over the years quite a few times. I mean, I went a long time without hearing it again because I didn't have it. But I honestly, for years, thought that he was saying 0 to none, boy, if I ain't around, which would make sense.
I guess depends on who you are.
0 to none, boy, if I ain't around. Well, it's kind of could be coming from the perspective of God in an evangelical sense. 0 to none, boy, if I ain't around. That's what I thought it was until I started looking deeper into the lyrics and got it was hard to find for us to find the lyrics, without a copy of them. So
they're just not out there.
I think 0 to none, boy, you're on the run is lazy. Yeah. And I'm going to send a LinkedIn message to Mark.
And I will immediately, I will register my displeasure. And it's the laziness is unforgivable. Given I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I feel like the next song covers the exact same ground.
It does.
It's the same. It's the same song. It's different words.
It does. It's the exact same.
It's the exact same message. It's the exact same subject matter.
It really is. It really
and
is.
They even use some of the same language about the fire burning. These are things the fire burns away. It says in 0 to 9, and we'll see something like that in the next
I
one.
think
I don't want
these
to jump too
songs,
far.
you know, like this particular song, before we get to Fill the Fire, and Fill the Fire as well, they both could have really been really great 80s genre songs if the lyrics had been better.
When they talk about when you go in to refinish a house and you say the house has got good bones, it's got good bones.
Good bones. It's
got good bones. We can do a lot with what's here. There's some details that we need to change out, but you know, the foundation's solid and the structure's solid, and the layout, we can work with it. So I mean, again, the sound it kind of sticks with you, but the content is just, I just feel like it just misses the mark.
Yeah,
falls short.
And that's why I feel like Terry Taylor probably was like, okay, I'm going to write this one song and kind of give it to you. I'll give you pointers on these other ones, but you know, you're on your own, like as far as writing, and I feel like that shows. Terry Taylor would not have written a song like this, I don't think. Although In My Dream of Heaven is pretty, I don't know. Yeah. It's not so, I don't know how to say it. It's not.
It does smack of a freshman. Of like I mean, like this is your first go. This is your first go at it. I want to make a Christian album. That's got some rock and new wave stuff, but you know, and this is my first stab at it, and things are going to be a little obvious, and but maybe they seemed not so much. I don't know at the time.
And in that time frame, got to remember that time frame too. That was the thing that you did if you were in that on a Christian label, you know. In that world. So, hey, did they do an altar call at the concert you saw?
Well, the thing is, they didn't because, well, not at the concert, because there was the concert and then there was a message. So the altar call would have been at the end of the message.
Okay.
But D.O.X was gone at that point. I don't know where they went.
They were smoking marijuana about behind the
putting on their blue suede shoes.
Putting on their blue suede shoes. They were down at the bottom of every bottle. Okay, let's move on. Feel the Fire. Like I said, it's the first song I heard. You said at what did I call this? I call it intercom speaker voice.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this is it starts out that way, and I got a few questions about this song, to be honest. So it starts out with the speaker voice, and then eventually it has like these cavernous vocals, sort of, but they're saying the same thing as the speaker voice at the same time, kind of.
Yeah, it's as whoever's
the same lyrics.
Yeah, someone is singing these lyrics in the background as whoever.
Just a little, not exactly at the same time, a little bit off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is a melody that is being sung, but it's all in the background because it's an interesting choice. I will say that it was an interesting choice, and it's why I remembered this song more than any other song, because it's so weird.
It is.
It's so weird, like just musically, just some odd. It's not like anything else that I don't even know who I would compare this to.
I feel like it kind of fits into new wave.
Yeah, I can see that.
As far as musically, at least. But it's definitely weird. I mean, the chorusing and stuff is kind of this like haunting chorus type stuff again. in the lyrics on the album sheet, it says, "Can you feel the fire as it burns in your soul? Can you feel the fire as it burns down below?" And it doesn't say that at the beginning, even though the album's notes say it does. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wait a minute, it doesn't say that. They just keep saying the same thing. Can you feel the fire as it burns in your soul? But then when you get into the following choruses, when it does say down below. And I'm like, what the hell? Can you feel the fire? Are they talking about your soul is located below?
Or is it literally hell that they're talking about?
Are they saying both? Like, can you feel the fire as it burns in your soul? Which would be like the fire of the Holy Spirit, I assume.
Right.
Or something like that. But then can you feel the fire as it burns down below? Is that hell? Is it the same fire? That's the whole... I got very confused. Maybe I was taking the lyrics apart too
I think
much.
it seems like the lyrics are chosen because of how they sound. But because the person that they're talking about in the song has made bad choices and they're running. Again, they're running like the wind every way it wants, the feet that never touch the ground. So you've been running for a while. So there's a lot of running. Well, there's a lot of running.
By his rules.
So this person, I mean, what fire are they feeling?
I don't know. If they
maybe that's why. Maybe it's what he's asking. Maybe that's what he's asking.
Maybe he is. Maybe he's saying there's two fires. I don't. There's a holy fire and a not so holy fire that's down below.
It's that confusing thing that we saw, I think, earlier in the aim for the heart, where there's like on the one hand there's God's two-edged sword, and then the enemy is also aiming. I'm like,
is the enemy's
which one are you talking about?
Or just single-edged? I don't.
the edge.
And if you're aiming for the heart, does it matter? Does it matter if it has two edges?
Yeah, it just needs to be pointy.
It just needs to be pointy.
Exactly. It just needs to be pointy. But yeah,
I don't.
The enemy's sword is pointy. Anyway,
pointy, and he's shrewd.
And he is shrewd.
And he is shrewd.
Okay. Jeez.
After you gave me like the image of him like standing on the stage, and like every time I hear that line in my head, I see him like, oh, it's like he's got his hands on his hips, thrusting his chest out.
Yeah.
Like
that's exactly
like Mick Jagger. Oh, he is shrewd.
He is rude.
And he's looking at, raising his eyebrows.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, like you said, it's the same message, which is, again, to me, is insulting a little bit as a listener.
Yeah.
You know, the faster you run, the faster you fall. It's just a game we all seem to play. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, just to keep moving the wrong way. You want to be a winner, but this time you'll lose because you're not playing by his rules. When you going to give up, turn your life over to the one who created you.
Can you feel the fire?
I don't know.
I'm moving too fast to feel the fire.
Is it the fire of hell at your heels? But it's in your soul. Is it fire?
I'm getting a hell vibe off of it now. When I originally thought it was like maybe like a conviction type thing, but
can the fire of hell be in your soul? I guess it is if you go to it.
Well, according to Mark Bretonne, yes, it can.
Can you feel what's coming for you? Can you feel what? Can you feel what Satan's cooking? Can you smell it?
Yeah, can you feel what Satan's cooking?
I don't know.
Again, I don't remember them doing the song in their live set. Maybe just because it's hard to do with all the stuff that's going on in the background.
That's what I think. I think it would be hard to do it with four guys, just four traditional players, without all the production stuff of a studio.
And another thing I remember with this song is that it
would
ends
sound horrible
very suddenly. It ends very...
And it ends. Yeah, speaking of that, one of the things I noticed on Spotify, these songs like are right on top of each other. I don't know if you noticed that or not. Like one ends, the other starts. And it might seem more dramatic because the styles are so crazily varied. But when I got the album, I listened to the album, and the album is not like that. Like there's a little more separation. So I don't know, maybe are all Spotify songs that way? Where it's just
you can set. There's a setting where you can
to do more. You can set that's true.
Where do you want them to fade into each other?
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe it seemed more dramatic on these because it's just so different.
Yeah.
This is a good example because that one ends and then it goes right into Lonely Without You.
Yeah. Are we going on to that one?
Which again,
I don't even know what's going on in this. So this one was written by somebody else and Mark Bretonne.
And there are certain credits that don't list that person. Sansa Lise. She's listed on
Sansa Lise
on the album, like in the little, the circle in the middle, the label. Mm-hmm. It actually lists her, but there's certain websites don't list her on there. So listener is songwriting. So I actually reached out to her.
What? And she's here tonight.
The other, yeah, she's and surprise,
Ladies and gentlemen.
No, this is kind of funny and kind of pathetic at the same time. I think it was last Thursday or something. I was like, because at that point I'd only seen that she was listed as a songwriter, and I didn't see which song it was on. So whatever I was looking at, so I was like, yeah, I see you're listed as a songwriter, and you have such a unique name. I searched it up because I thought maybe I could find you. And she's like a graphic artist. She has like a artist website out in California, easy to find, and she's done a bunch of graphic arts for like Disney movies and stuff like that. Yeah, really cool. But, and they had she had a thing on her site where you could, send a message. So I sent a message and said, hey, I'm doing this podcast, and I saw you were listed as a songwriter, but I don't know what song. And I was just curious, like, what was your part in this album, and I figured maybe I could find you. And since your name's so unique, and so, I don't know if this is you or not. And she sent me an email back and said, yeah, that's me. She's like, I have an art show coming up on Saturday, so I'm kind of busy right now, but I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Get back in touch with me on Monday. And I did not have a good Monday. So I did not get back in touch with her. Well, then later I saw that she was listed on this song on some other track listings I saw and on the album. So I shot her another email today and said, okay, I was just wondering, I see you're listed on this one song. Like, what did you contribute musically? Was it just lyrically? Was it both? How did this come about? Were you in marketing?
Yeah. Two uniquely named individuals.
Yes.
And
I haven't heard back from her
mixed
yet.
up.
I haven't heard back from her yet. And I might, jump onto something and, ask her some questions if I hear back from her. But yeah, so I have no idea. I don't know what to make of that she's involved in this or how she got involved.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of the song itself, to be honest.
I know.
It's like, what is...
I put it... It sounds like there's audio hiss or air in the background. Kind of like a cassette tape air.
Yeah.
But I think it was intentional because it kind of increases and then you kind of hear like this synth vocal chorus, like sustained synth vocal chorus that they used on a lot of songs on this album. Like if you've listened really closely, but it sounds like air. I don't know.
Doesn't really matter what I want to do. Know that I must leave to take on the world all by myself. There's something I've got to concede. Oh, it's long here without you. Just the crashing of the waves. Oh, it's long here without you. Just the crashing of the waves.
This is a strange song. I don't know. I was looking through the lyrics. It doesn't even sound evangelical, really, per se.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of
It doesn't make any sense, really, because the lyrics talk about him needing to go out on his own and do something, but then he's lonely, and it's kind of like he regrets it, maybe? I don't know. I really don't know what's happening in the song. I put the more Ultravox type of sound a little bit.
I kind of got the idea that there's someone out there, and he's lonely without that person, is the vibe I kind of got.
Is that what you got out of it?
Yeah, it's pretty subtle. I mean, it's pretty subtle. But I mean,
it doesn't really matter what I want to do. He's posturing right now.
Yeah, there's just I feel like there's just not a lot to this song. I feel like this song could have been 35 seconds long. It's about a guy
I must leave, take on the world all by myself. It's something I've got to concede. Horrible lyric. What is that? Something I've got to concede? Just so you can
rhyme something with bleed.
That was Sansare's input.
Yeah. What I really wanted to do.
I'm going to get an email from her. I came up with the line as something I've got to concede.
Yeah, I mean, So it's a guy, and he leaves somebody behind to go record an album with Frontline
He left the
Records.
very best behind, Price.
Yeah.
Because in the last verse it says, "For thinking things that should have been said, I let the very best part of me slip away. Oh, I need you more today." Do 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 do. Oh.
Yeah. And he's sitting on the beach, and the wind is blowing, and he's wearing like white linen
It's blowing
pants, and it's blowing. And he
in the
said,
video.
I think he could take all these lyrics out and just say, "I'm on the beach and I'm sad."
And I'm sad.
That's it. That's it.
All the tears.
A guy's on the beach and he's sad.
I don't know.
And this is another one that kind
Take
of
on the world all by myself, and now you're on the beach, and there's crap.
He said he's thinking it through.
Is this
and
related to the lighthouse? And so,
well, does it happen at night? Did he run to the beach at night?
yeah, and this is one of the songs that Night is not in. Northlands.
Yeah, this is just kind of an odd duck. It just
lyrically, it's like
a weird thing that
I guess
thematically
musically,
doesn't
too.
fit into anything else, and lyrically it doesn't fit. Again, it's lyrically very simple and very obvious. But let's think about. I wonder how old these people were when they wrote it. Were they in their 20s?
20s, early 20s.
It had to be 20s.
I don't know.
And-
I've got this unfair narrative in my head that that he was like in his early 20s and Sansaray was some young, high school, art student that, latched onto this singer's I'm making all this up in my head.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, you could do something on one of the songs." As long as you're shrewd, you can. I don't know.
And she is shrewd.
And she
Yeah,
had some input.
I just feel like I don't have a whole lot to say about this song. There's just not a lot to it,
There really
and
is.
it's nothing particularly. When I talked earlier about how some of these songs stick in my head and I kind of play them over and over, this is not one of them.
This is not one of them. And it's so weird that between the two songs, it's between.
Oh yeah,
Oh my gosh, I don't know which song it's less like. I don't know. Of course, the next song. I don't know.
Shall we jump forward too?
We got to jump forward. It's 9:08. Let's jump forward.
We are.
Do we have to? Do we have to
This
talk
is going
about
to be
this
a
song?
17-hour podcast.
Do we have to talk about this
I got to work tomorrow, man.
This song is so irritating to me. In my parentheses, dream of heaven.
Yeah.
It sounds like a very early CCM folk rock, maybe with some synths kind of put in there to try to pull it even with the rest of this album.
I could see the second chapter of Acts.
That's exactly the band I thought of. I didn't put that. I didn't write that down.
I haven't thought of second chapter of Acts in probably 50 years. Well, that's not. I'm exaggerating a bit.
It feels like 50.
Why did it?
And it's been a great 50. It's been a great 50. Yeah, I put mid to late 70s. Randy Matthews, who I didn't know who that was. I just looked up like CCM folk rock from Randy Matthews. Phil Kagi was on there. There was a band called Parable.
I'm not familiar with Parable.
All in the mid to late 70s, and they're
I remember Phil Kagi. I could definitely see Phil Kagi.
Phil Kagi his music was a little better than what this is, but I was going to say early Danny
This is
Lane,
another
really
Terry
wasn't even like
Taylor.
that.
Terry Scott Taylor song.
Yeah.
And this is another song.
I put a note. I don't know why this song is on here.
Why does this exist?
No sadness rules, death has no sting. The Lamb is Lord and God is King, and through the halls our praises ring. In my dreams of heaven, in my dream the lion lies down with the lamb, child to lead him home again, back to a world that has no end.
This is another song where they stop. They stop. The words and the music stop, and then they start again. This in my dream, and it stopped. Dream of heaven.
That's right.
Interestingly, they're both Terry Scott Taylor songs. The Hungry Dog did it, and now this
they
one
both
does it.
stop. Okay, that's right.
They stop,
That's right.
and they start up again.
That's the signature move. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
On this album, anyway.
Yeah.
Dream of heaven. In that dream, so radiant,
I don't know. The part where no sadness rules, death has no sting. The Lamb is Lord and God is King. And it's like a quartet type sound to it at that point.
Yeah, this one really sticks out like a sore thumb because there's no okay. So you have these other songs that you can say, well, we got a little bit of a new wave here. We got kind of a synthy pop thing here. There's definitely kind of an edgy rock thing going on here. This one is not any of that, not even close. It's just got this weird sing-songy
it just
bluebirds flying and nothing. And I hate to say this. I don't write songs. I've never recorded a song, so to point fingers. But I mean, like, there's just nothing interesting in these lyrics. There's
nothing interesting, and this is going to irritate some people that listen to this because I know there's Daniel Amos fans that will listen to this and Jerry Scott Taylor. But his dream of heaven is basically just what he's pulling things out of the Bible. But talk about what's going to happen.
In my dream of heaven will be just exactly
your dream is exact. Yeah, exactly right, exactly.
In my dream of Disneyland, there will be costume characters, and rides, and like a Main Street, and Minnie will be there, and Mickey.
Now you
will be
sound
there.
like Danny.
Isn't that a lovely dream? Yeah, that's everybody's.
It's a dream that already exists. That everyone.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I don't get about this.
Yeah, the lion lies down. These are just.
This is imagery straight from the Bible, which
talks about. Yeah, I'm not knocking that.
Yeah, but you're not the first to have this dream.
It's not your dream. It's okay. I don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't even. I don't even know how to categorize this song.
I have very few notes on this, other than my main thing is I don't know why the song's on here. I said lyrically, I can see some type of consistency, I guess. Lyrically, as far as the evangelical, like, I don't know. If some of the other songs were talking about the journey and the end of the journey and the afterlife, then I guess I could see how this fits in lyrically somehow, but it's boring.
Yeah.
But musically, I definitely don't. Musically and vocally, it doesn't fit at all. I don't know why the hell this song's on here. So
it's about heaven and a dream of it. Come on, Jimmy. You have to force it. Okay. Yeah, spoon feed you this.
It's by Terry Scott Taylor. How dare you? Yeah, how dare you?
I will not have you speak ill of his dream of heaven.
Terry Scott Taylor.
And this one just fades out. This one just kind of doesn't end.
Fades out.
It fades, which a lot of songs did back then. I can knock them for that.
There's
a lot of times I guess they didn't know how to end songs, so they just kind of fade.
They knew how to end "Fill the Fire." That's for sure.
Yeah, you just unplug everything. The guy at the soundboard just hits the off button, and you're done. Lights out.
Lights out. Studio time ended for the day. They only had so much time. Well, I guess we're done with that track.
All right.
Okay, we got two more, man, and they're
the two best.
They're doozies. So these are the first two songs that Rick Lane has been involved with, the music.
Now, is he also a Daniel Amos person?
He's the guitar. No, he's only with this band. I don't know if he's on the next album or not. I did not spend any time looking into the next album after I heard some of the tracks. Yeah. Rick Lane is the guitarist and rhythm guitarist.
Okay.
It's only with D.O.X. for this album. He's a D.O.X. member. These next two songs are kind of similar a little bit, like stylistically, I think.
Yeah, I can see that.
Again, they're kind of that gritty, kind of heavy rock guitar, lots of drums. It makes me think of like a arena rock concert from back in the 80s, you know?
Yeah.
Remember when they used to do like, you know, they'd have a portion of the concert where it'd be like on the drums, and then the drummer would do like this solo for like 5 minutes.
Everybody
and you'd be like, listen, it was over 2 minutes. Like,
yeah.
And everybody'd be like, yeah. And it'd be like, you're just waiting for it to end because it's just going to hit you to go to the bathroom. Yeah. And then they'd have the key guitar, or what do you call those things?
The guitar.
and they on the keyboards. And then they do their little thing for 5 minutes. The song reminds me
introducing the band montage.
Yeah, exactly. I like the song though. Like I said, it was one of the songs I played back in the day. Again, the lyrics, they're just they're not inspiring whatsoever.
Yeah, and I hate to use the word, but I'm gonna say it. And I'm sorry, Mark de la Bretonne and Rick Lane, if you're listening to this, please do not take this personally. But the problems lyrically with this song are the same problems as several other songs on this album, and that they are infantile. I don't know how else to say it. Like, and Lord, I know you're there. I know you care. I mean,
yeah,
it's like the story about Dr. Seuss, where he had a bet that he could only use. They could write a a story with only 50 unique words or something. 50 would be generous, I think, for this song. I feel like there's maybe 14, 15 words that he just uses over and over again. And it's just, I don't
He's using the
understand.
night.
Yeah, I see you through darkness, I see you through the night. And, oh, get this, he does rhyme it with light.
Light.
Where does he come up with this stuff? But yeah, there's nothing interesting thematically.
I mean, the message is great.
Well, yeah, it's a great
God's
message,
with you all the time.
but it's not presented in a way that's compelling. Do you know what I'm saying?
One of the lyrics in this song that irritates me the most is, "You never leave me nor forsake me. On this I take my stand." that line.
I take my stand.
My stand. I was like, oh my gosh.
But again,
Oh my gosh.
and we mentioned this before, De La Bretonne, he brings it. Look,
He does.
The lyrics themselves are.
And his delivery is very good and it elevates the song as much as it can be elevated.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not.
And that guitar, oh Lord, I know, and it kind of, I don't know, it carries you with it. He delivers it well, like it's great.
Yeah,
his delivery.
It's a memorable song. Musically, it's memorable.
Yeah.
Lyrically, it may be not as compelling. Obviously, the message is great. You don't want to downplay the message, but it's not delivered in a way that is bringing anything new to the conversation.
Right.
Shall we say?
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. In times I'm feeling dry. Yes, I may lose the feeling, but to you I gave my life. This is infantile.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. It's
a third grader
switching
would be
things around to you, but
it's
to
infantile.
you I gave my life. On this I take my stand. It's an awkward way to try to get it in there. That it's just lyrically not particularly creative.
And again, it's a little insulting, I think.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're ready for Morning Star.
Oh, I'm ready.
There's one very important word you need to know in this song, and that is walk. Walk.
Yeah. When I first heard this,
in the background, walk.
I'm like, wait, what are they saying? They're saying walk?
I'm pretty sure they're saying walk.
Yeah, it's walk. I believe it is walk because
it's a chant kind of.
Yeah,
walk.
Which is it's kind of interesting because it's echoing the walk in the lyrics. And once again, we do have I've heard you crying in
the night.
There you go. No one's running, I don't think. We're walking. We're walking this time.
You're walking.
But yeah, the way this one,
darkness,
the way Morning Star starts out, it does have a very edgy hairband, almost like Scorpions a little bit.
Yeah,
the way
Scorpions
it starts.
Would be
the way it starts.
Example. Yep. And the song and the melody reminds me of the Scorpions too. So
this is I got very much a hairband vibe off of this, but melodically, it's very this is another one that sticks with you. Like this is one I hear playing in my head.
This is one where the background vocals I feel like really contribute to it.
And he brings it on this one too, with his very dramatic delivery, and the love for sale, love for rent. Some just give it away.
Give
it away.
Give it away.
And interestingly enough, he's searching for a child again.
Yes.
Going back to this is
Call
the
your
last
name
song
in
of
the
the album.
darkness.
The first song on Hungry Rush, looking for a child. Here on the last song on the album, again searching for a child. Although the first one was written by Terry Scott Taylor, and this one is written by Bretonne.
So do we? I mean, since it's called Morning Star, do we assume that it's God?
I think
or
that is
Jesus, or one of the members of the Trinity. Looking for the child. My love is true. I can't stop loving you. I won't get over you. Not over you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably a safe assumption that it is a God figure, a Christ figure.
Yeah, cling to me, I will cling
song.
to you, because that's very like a biblical terminology.
Yeah.
Walk the streets of the city. Walk the streets alone. But who's walking alone? Call your name in the darkness. No one is ever home.
Is it
God
talking
looking
to
for the person at home?
child?
Can they not find the child at home because they're walking in the city?
I guess. Are they wearing blue suede shoes?
My love is real. It's felt the pain. My love has felt the pain as I've watched you walk away. Can't you see, for you this time, my love, the price is paid. My love is true.
Yeah, so another one where it kind of stops.
It does, yeah.
And they pick up again. But this was not on a Terry
I like
Scott
this
Taylor.
one. These last two songs, I like his delivery.
Yeah.
He's giving it all.
Lyrically, very simple.
I can't totally get on board and say, oh, wow, this is such a great song. Go listen to it. But
yeah, I feel like this one is a little better than Guiding My Way, but that's a pretty low bar to clear. But again, it's very simplistic. It's not going for a lot of complexity. If you're looking for music that goes deeper, that maybe deals with some of the more complexities of the real walk of someone following Christ in the faith. That is not what you're going to get here. But, you can't help but sing it in your head over and over again when you're trying to sleep at night at 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's just going over and over until you just wish you were dead.
Yeah. You just described the last 3 days for me.
Yeah.
For you, longer maybe. But why do you feel like because there's people that still love this. Is it nostalgia? Maybe?
It has to be. It has to be, right?
I mean, it's so weird too. I mean, I think there is an element of this weird album that's all over the place. I don't know. It makes it interesting in a way, if for nothing else than to like that, like kind of like that movie The Room is interesting.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, so bizarre that it's kind of intriguing a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say I'm going to listen to it regularly after this.
Yeah, I've listened to it enough for a while. I need to take a break. But yeah, the fact that this whole album, like you said, is all over the place. When I was making my wife listen to it, and she's like, "What?" And I talked about that, and she's like, "Well, maybe that's the point. Maybe that's what they were trying to do. And there's no way to know. Maybe they were trying to do something different. Maybe, or maybe they just had these songs, and that's just what they were. I mean, you can't, read people's minds 40 years ago. But it is
any song that Shannon thought, oh, that's okay. That one's.
I don't know that she did.
Stands out.
I don't know that there was one that she's like, oh boy, I gotta hear that again.
Don't you touch the skip button.
And I think even for me, if I did not have the history with it, listening to it now, I probably would not have done more than a single listen. Mm-hmm. Which you mentioned earlier that their second album, the Through the Fire, which you sent me a link to, and I gave it one listen, and I'm like, I think I'm good. If
you listen to the whole album, you listen more than I did.
I listened to the whole thing.
I think I listened to the first 3 or 4 songs, the beginning of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just can't.
And you kind of wonder, so what brought these guys together? Was there a vision? Did they have a vision for D.O.X., a vision for a D.O.X. sound that they were going for? It's the first album, so it's hard to say. Because the first album, everyone's kind of new at this. But I don't know if I could say there is a D.O.X. sound. If there was any kind of singular unifying sound or vision or themes that kind of pull this whole thing together, it's all over the place. They're reusing lyrics and themes over and over again. I think musically, it's more interesting musically than it is lyrically.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
no doubt.
And it's there's some, I guess, maybe kind of some interesting stuff thematically going on. Maybe it depends on how you even interpret, because it's interpretation is so subjective. But
Yeah.
even their
there's
own.
a lot of contradiction too. Like,
Oh yeah,
and even in the straightforward lyrics, there's contradiction that's confusing.
lyrics were chosen because of how they sounded,
Yeah. Yeah.
because of what they meant, and I think that maybe that's a hallmark. I mean, they were young and new to it. Maybe if D.O.X had endured, maybe
Well, I wish they were still making music, just like the Cav Fam. Remember?
Hey, we all? But you wonder what a D.O.X album, if the personnel had stayed the same, because if I'm not mistaken, like by the second album, it was all new people except for the lead singer.
It was all just those 4 primary deals.
Right. So none of the Daniel Amos
maybe
people.
they'd even switched that one person out, but
yeah. But you wonder, like, if the personnel had stayed together and then the band had stuck together and grown together over 10, 15 years, what an album in the late 90s, the early 2000s might have sounded like with these guys that have grown a little bit, matured a little bit. You kind of wonder what that might have been like.
Yeah,
and I guess
probably would have been a little more cohesive.
Yeah.
Because it feels like
that's a good word.
It feels like, oh, okay, we're I'm going to do these songs. Terry Taylor's giving this song. Rick Lane, you want to what's a couple of your style songs you want to do?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. Still, like you said, still kind of discovering how they wanted to sound.
Yeah.
All right, so thumbs up. What is it? 5 stars? No.
I'm not going to say 5 stars, but I'm not going to say thumbs down either. There is enough interesting in this that I think it's worthwhile for a listen. I don't know that I don't know that it stands up to multiple listens or to any kind of like real scrutiny, but that's not to say that you can't get some kind of joy and pleasure out of it. You're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Oh, well, that's okay. That's kind of neat. Oh, wow. What was that going on in the background there? Yeah. And there's something worthwhile about that, I think, even on an album that is, I think, for the most part, forgettable.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I know this because I forgot about it until it somehow came up.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, their own record label kind of apparently.
Yeah, I would say listening back to this, I very much realized how much a part nostalgia played for me.
Oh, right. Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Because when I first started listening, I was like, oh my gosh, why did I even think, oh, this would be a good album to do for this?
Yeah.
It's not.
I had those thoughts more than once myself. Why did Jimmy think this was good? Why did he drag me into
And then there
this?
were times recently when I listened to it, I'm like, okay, no. I'll stand by this song. I'll stand by that song. But,
yeah. Or at least aspects of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I felt like, okay, yeah, I need to do this because it's so weird and varied, and the genres.
I don't know what to make of it.
All over the place. So
just don't know what to make of it.
Okay, so
bye.
We wrapped it up. So now we. I just want to talk briefly.
Yeah, for the last hour of the podcast, I'd like to.
For the last hour, yeah. This won't take too long, I don't think, because we're going to talk about your book that you wrote.
Oh, is it time for plugs?
It's time for plugs.
Like you're in a talk show.
Hey, you got something you want to plug?
You got anything coming up? Got any dates you're playing? My book.
I do want to talk about your book a little bit, which I realized tonight or earlier today when I was looking at it, and I didn't realize before. You can get a hardback of this book.
Yeah. So this book of mine, which is titled "Wasted," with the subtitle. So it's wasted colon.
And some of the chapters kind of tie into wasted colon.
Yeah. So it's wasted colon, tales and musings from a nobody with a weird name. I think I got that right.
That's right. I'm reading
tales and musings from
right.
Wasted colon, tales and musings from a nobody with a weird name. And just so you know, spoiler alert, I'm the nobody with the weird name. That's Bryce Horn. This was a book that I put together during the pandemic. Remember that pandemic thing?
Oh yeah.
It was specifically during the winter of 2020 to 2021, and I tend to get in the wintertime. I tend to get pretty depressed. I get a lot of the SAD, the seasonal affect disorder stuff. I just get really very, very down around the new year, and I look at wow, another year has passed, and I have nothing to show for it. And so I just
which is so untrue. The listeners don't know, but it's so untrue.
Yeah, but is it?
But you feel that way, yeah.
I do feel that way. And
you still do, even though you wrote this book. But go ahead.
I absolutely still do. I absolutely still do. So I was just looking for a project to keep myself occupied and keep myself busy, so I wouldn't be thinking about how miserable I was feeling. And I'd had a blog several years ago, and I did 2-3 posts a week just on this, that, and the other. And I thought, you know what? Amazon has this self-publishing platform that's part of Amazon. And I'm like, wouldn't it be kind of cool if I went back through my old blog stuff and picked out the stuff I like, kind of compiled it, edited it together, did some, little front matter, little back matter, and put a book together just for fun, just for grins. And that's what I did. I spent a few months kind of collating all that stuff and pulling out the stuff that was worthwhile and discarding the stuff that wasn't worthwhile. And if you ever read the book, you're like, there's stuff you threw away. But and so that's what I did. So I put together this book, and I designed it. I did it all myself. They've got all the templates you download, the Word templates, and everything you need to design the book yourself. There are services that will do all the design stuff, but I did everything myself. And brother, does it show? But it's a collection of just little short essays, stories from my life, my thoughts on random things that are pretty much inconsequential. A lot of embarrassing stories about myself. I have plenty. Kind of be clowning myself is kind of one of my hobbies.
Yes, yes it is.
looking the fool. But yeah, so I put together a paperback version of it. And then I put together a Kindle version of it that you could download to your Kindle. And I coded all that myself too. And that was.
Oh, did you really?
I did. And it was the thing is I love doing stuff like that. It's very fun getting my hands into the code and doing all that stuff. But then later I did, and after I'd sort of publicized it on social media and like, hey, I've got a book that you can buy, and I didn't make. Not like I made any money on this thing. I think I made a couple bucks per book. So I made barely enough to cover just sort of my incidental expenses of, getting author copies and mailing it and getting it copyrighted and stuff like that. But then later I did find out that they were instituting a new hardback thing. And so I designed a hardback version of it, I don't have one so,
I'm going to buy one.
Well, you will literally be the first. You will literally be the first person.
You autograph. You not autograph. You wrote in my other one. You did autograph it, but
I did.
So now
I did autograph it. Sure.
So now you have to autograph my hardback.
Oh, dedicated. Yeah, I made sure certain friends and family got copies before I publicized it to anybody else. And I mailed it to them in the mail and such.
So when did the hardback become a thing?
It would probably.
I've never seen it before.
Well, I mean, I never really publicized it.
I don't go in and look at your,
Yeah, it's probably. It was well after the initial, paperback and Kindle version came out, because it wasn't the hardbacks weren't even available. But it would have been months later. Just for grins, I put together a hardback version of it and literally never bought a copy of it. But yeah, I mean, it was fun to put together. There's an entry for it on Goodreads, where you can leave reviews, and people leave reviews on Amazon. And I think a lot of people maybe were not sure what to make of it. Like, what am I reading here?
I love it.
Like, why am I reading this? Like, I would get comments like, hey, I got you. I get a comment on social media. Hey, I got your book. They post a picture of holding my book. I'm looking forward to reading it. And then I would never hear anything else from them. Nothing. Like, oh, I'm so excited. Silence. After they read it, maybe they weren't as excited. Because it's kind of like the D.O.X album. The D.O.X is self-titled album. It's kind of all over the place. It's not a cohesive thing. It's a collection of essays.
Yeah.
It's not a novel. It's not everything tied together. It's just a bunch of random junk that I kind of liked, and I put it together.
It's thematic in terms of your self-deprecation.
Very much so. I guess that is a running theme.
Yeah, I put that it's an exercise in self-deprecation and nostalgia. But it's the kind of book, like, I like a lot of different kinds of books, but it's one kind that I really like, and it reminds me of Rainn Wilson wrote The Bassoon King. Have you read that?
King, yeah. I have not read it, but my wife has it.
It's a very similar format, kind of. He would do, like one chapter would just be, okay, top 10 obscure 80s bands that are the best or something, just all of a sudden.
Oh, right.
Like it's very random and a very similar style like that. Anybody who knows you very well, it fits very, it fits. It's basically this. If you read this book, it's like knowing you. It's like talking to you. It's the same things that we talk about all the time. And it's very interesting. And I think the people you want to get feedback from on it are the people those are the people that you're wanting to read it. Like the people that don't have any comments to say back.
Yeah.
That's not your audience, I think.
I would agree with that.
Whether you even had a true audience, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, like who is this for? Who is this? Is some random person who doesn't even know me? Would they even read this? Why?
Maybe.
Why would they?
I would.
Maybe.
If I came across a book by somebody I didn't know and somehow found out about it, and I saw some chapter titles like "Anti-People Person," "You're in Trouble," "The Fault in My Cars," "The Time I Jammed a Rusty Bolt into My Brain."
What's that one about?
which you have at least a few different chapters on things. The time I cut off the tip of my toe or something like that.
I injure myself a lot doing very stupid things. And here's the deal. This is all true. All this stuff is true. It's all true. Well, I may exaggerate the language, but these things actually did happen to me.
I've known you during some of these things.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's all, for the most part, it's relatable too. I think
I would like to think so. I think so.
The anti-people person is very relatable to me. Even now, there are times when I will see someone down the hall at work and I'll be like, I was going to go down the hall and do something. I think I'll wait a little while. I'll go back to my desk because I'm going to walk and have to pass by a person and maybe interact with that person.
That particular essay it's about my introversion and some of my anxiety around people. And when I originally published that as a blog post back in the day, my parents read it and got very upset.
Oh, yeah.
They were very upset.
No, why were they upset?
They
at you or for you?
At me, and or maybe for me. Probably both. I probably deserve both. But they're from a generation where they kind of saw that as like a slam against their parenting. Okay. They're like, oh, what did we do wrong? What did we do wrong? And that, of course, was not my intention at all.
It didn't read that way at all to me.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't think so. I certainly didn't intend to do that way. But I think they don't maybe understand a lot of, personality theory and things like that. That you're just what your parents make you, and anything that you are, it's because of something your parents did.
Okay.
And I don't think that's.
Thank God that's not true.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God that's not true.
But yeah, I get personal in some of them, and vulnerable in some of them, and some of them I'm just stupid.
You write about parenthood.
I'm making fart jokes in a lot of it, and some of it I'm getting real and making my wife cry, and one of the essays made my wife cry.
Oh, really?
But yeah, so there's a little bit of that, but mostly it's just me sticking my hand under my armpit and making.
I think you're.
Look at me, I'm a clown. Look at me, I'm a clown.
I think you're selling it short, and I don't want people listening to get that impression because it's really interesting, and you have a bunch of short subjects. Right, that's what some of them are. Yep. Short subjects, and your different things on there.
Just little,
and they're really short. It's
little snippets.
Kind of cool in a way that they're little short things.
Yeah.
So, I wrote down. I like to rate this book in toilet hours. So,
yeah.
Since I feel that's where it's best read. So
that's absolutely.
So this book will engage you for approximately 8 to 10 toilet hours, which translates to roughly 60 bowel movements, and there are these little short chapters, these little,
Yeah, I remember
they're musings, like
yeah,
it says
they're just my thoughts on this, that, and the other.
But they're funny. They're funny. They're humorous. They're a little bit. I don't know if I'd say jaw dropping, but kind of sometimes maybe.
I hope that I can that elicit a gentle chuckle.
And whoever reads it, you will feel better about yourself.
Oh,
because you are not Sorn.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Get a copy, stick it on the back of your toilet, and it's perfect for reading. And if you run out of toilet paper, I used a quality soft.
It's a soft stock. Did you pick the cover?
I picked the
Because
cover.
it's like that
I
soft
picked this.
cover that's becoming more popular. I love it.
Yeah, you have like really granular control over like
Wow.
the stock of the cover and of the paper, and the quality of the paper, and the binding and the size. There's different sizes and everything. It's if you ever want to do a book, it gives you a lot of options. And I just pulled it up on Amazon, and the paperback is $3.42.
It is. I have it written. $3.42. Kindle is $3.99. Free with Kindle Unlimited.
There you go.
Hardback $16.99. That's the one.
But here's the thing: I am proud of it. I don't regret doing it.
No, you should be.
Every once in a while I see it on the bookshelf. I'm like, hey, I did that, and that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Here's
Here's
my
a
kids
little
will have
quote
something.
from the back. Getting to know me is like folding a fitted sheet. Yes, it can be done if you care to take the time, but for most people, it's not worth the hassle.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. Very accurate.
Now, just for listeners, Price and I used to go to church together, and that's the same church, and we were in a lot of small groups together. And you were in one of the first small groups I was in, and we went around at one of those icebreaker things or something, and it must have been something about like, what are your bucket list items or something you want to do. And so this was probably 2007, 8 maybe, and you said, hey, I'd like to write a book someday. Was this the book you had in mind when you said that?
It is not, but it's a book, and so I'll take it.
So
Good enough.
So have you thought about writing another book?
I've thought about it. I have given it some thought. Yes.
I know you've read a ton of books.
I read about a book a week.
Yeah.
I'm very. I love reading. I'm all over the place, genre wise. But yeah, I have some thoughts, some rough thoughts about a second book, but who knows when I'll have time to do it. No promises.
So I have 5 questions. You have something else you want to say before I ask my 5 questions?
No, I don't think so.
At least
They better be good.
I don't think I covered any of these. Okay, so what does your book best pair with besides the toilet?
Crippling depression.
What depressions? Accurate. Okay. Your book has a solid 4.7 rating on Amazon. What do you attribute this to?
I would guess someone being unclear how the ratings work. Like, is one high or is one low? My guess is people thinking that 5 is the worst and 1 is the best. And so
Who do you think the bastard is that gave you a 3? Was it?
It was well, I would say it was my wife, but I think she that's generous for what she would give me. I think
She didn't rate. She must not have rated.
yeah, she's like, well, because her mama taught her, if you can't say anything good,
If you can't rate anything good, don't rate anything wrong.
she's like,
That's the old saying.
yeah, she's like, 1 is as low as you can go, huh?
Is there a chapter in particular that you are either most proud of, or, if it's easier, least ashamed of?
Least ashamed of. Well, I mean, shame is kind of infused in everything I do.
There's a ton of chapters in there. How many chapters are in that book?
Boy, there's some of the essays in
60
there.
something, maybe?
Well, that's a tough one.
Copy right here.
Which one do I hate the least?
There's a lot of chapters.
I don't know. I don't know that I could.
It's all right if you hate them all equally. If you can't choose which child you hate the most in your book.
There is one in there that I did. One called Bus Boy, which is about my adventures riding the bus to work.
Yep.
Which I still do, by the way. I'm still riding the bus to work, which was one of the first things I wrote on my website, and I think it turned out pretty well. I think they're all stupid in their own way, but I think that one's kind of fun. Bus Boy. There you go.
Like it. Good pick. In your book, you have quite a few short subject chapters. We mentioned that. One of them's called Short Subject, New Calendar Page Day.
Oh, Lord.
So anyone who knows you or is connected with you on social media is aware of New Calendar Page Day. You're not even on Facebook currently, or you're on it, but not on it.
I'm on it,
but you're not.
But I don't do anything except for one day. But
still, there's New Calendar Page Day.
Yeah.
So I think it's amazing and kind of weirdly awesome how many people look forward to your New Calendar Page Day post every month.
On the first day of every month on social media, I post, "It's New Calendar Page Day!" ! It's New Calendar Page Day! ! And that's it.
And once a year,
it's New Calendar
Day.
And I have been doing this for 13 years now.
Oh my gosh.
every month for 13 years. And it just started as just something I did on a whim because back in the day, I used to have tons of calendars in my cubicle at work before I was working from home, and now I don't have as many. But so new calendar page day, the first day of every month was a big deal. There were lots of calendar pages to turn. And so just as a joke one day, I on the first I said, it's new calendar page day, it's new calendar page day. Everyone, ha ha ha. And then for whatever reason, the next month, I did it again, and all of a sudden it became a thing. And now it's my legacy. It's like this is all I'm going to be remembered for.
That's what you wrote
like
in
there,
the chapter.
There are people that come up to me on like the 30th, the 31st, whatever, and they're like, "Hey, you know what's coming up? Hey, you know what's tomorrow?" And I'm like, I can't believe this is what I'm remembered for. New calendar page day. But hey, you know what? It's better than not being remembered at all.
Exactly. And I was going to ask you, I think you answered that then, because I was going to say, when did it start? Because I couldn't remember when it started.
I'm pretty sure it was 2011.
I think I knew you. Yeah, I knew you then. Okay.
I want to say 2011. It may be March of 2011. So because I remember a few years ago doing the big 10-year anniversary of it, and I'm like, I can't believe I've been doing this.
So did you really? So did you really? I don't know if you're doing this anymore. Did you really go out that week before Christmas, or between Christmas and New Year's? I think is what it was, right? You'd go out and buy. Oh yeah, calendars and put them up at your cubicle.
I absolutely would. There at one point,
turn them all on the first day of the month.
Oh, absolutely. I'm like there was one point I had I want to say 16 different calendars in my cubicle at work, between desk calendars and wall calendars. I want to say 16. That was probably when I was at my worst. You know, when it was clear I had a problem.
Was at its worst?
Yeah, like it was clear I had a problem. Yeah,
was there an intervention? Was there an intervention?
Yeah, the intervention happened in March of 2020
when the pandemic
when I got sent home, and I had really no place at home to put 16 calendars on the wall, and it just kind of faded. I still have a couple, but I still celebrate New Calendar Page Day in my.
And everybody loves it. Everybody's like, "Yay!"
Why?
There are people that say, "I wait for this day every month."
And it's crazy. It's crazy to me. What a weird random thing to be known
really
for.
Weird.
But I'm a weird random guy. I'm a weird random guy.
So I think I already mentioned this earlier. So will there ever be an audio version of your book? And if so, who will do the voice? Do the voice?
Morgan Freeman's people just will not get back to me. So, I mean, other people have asked me if I'm going to do an audio version, and I said, why don't you just give me your voicemail number, and I'll call and read it to you.
Read it.
Will that do? Because this voice is not exactly mellifluous. The dulcet
it goes
tones,
with the material.
Yeah, grating, nasal. Makes you just wish you were dead.
Well, I hope some people will check it out. Easy to find.
It would be cool. It would be cool.
I think it'd be really cool.
It would be. I would think it would be very, very cool.
They would love it. It's just, I think it's just not. It's just one of those. You're not going to come across it very easily, just randomly.
How would you?
Maybe
Who's going to be looking for
some people do it. I don't know.
Maybe.
But how would you? I mean, it's not like music. Like it's not like there's a Spotify. Goodreads isn't like Spotify, right? Like, you read this, now there's this. Maybe it is a little bit like that.
It
does have recommendations.
Yeah, but
you compete with the big boys, though, Price.
Yeah, I mean, there is an advertising thing that you can. There's a program through the self-publishing thing, but I'm not spending money on this. I just want somebody. I'm not gonna. Yeah. Why would I spend money? Forget it. Forget about it. This is my advertising budget right here.
Hopefully, some people will check it out.
Be cool.
Yeah. All right. That wraps it up, man. Finally got you on here.
3 hours.
All right. I'm gonna send you a text after this on the next album.
Yeah. You're like, oh,
Rust Half Metals. We're gonna be. Because it's kind of post-punk. Okay, never mind.
Well, I mean.
Oh, this will be. Yeah, man. There's a lot of good stuff here.
You can. There's going to be so much you can edit out of this.
Are we on 3? I'll be editing a lot out. I've learned that it edits down quite a bit. So. Yeah.
All right, dude.
Perfect.
Anything else you need from me?
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you for thinking of me. I hope it pays off.
Oh, yeah. This will be great. I was really looking forward to this. It was a lot of fun, and it'll be a good episode. People will enjoy it. So.
All right, dude.
All right.
Well, all right. Later.
All right. Later. Bye.
And that is going to wrap it up for this episode. Price and I recorded this episode back in late March. And in the meantime, I had reached out to Sansere Lise, who is credited as a writer on the song Lonely Without You. And she offered to put me in touch with Marc de la Bretonne. So, a semi-long story short, I've been able to get into contact with Mark through Sansaray, and if you're listening, I really appreciate that, Sansaray, and I appreciate you, Mark, reaching out and telling me you would be happy to speak with me about the album. After I made contact, I reached out to Price, and we both felt a little bit bad about our criticality of this album. So it felt a little bit disingenuous to me to go ahead and set up a chat and speak with Mark and Sansaray, and maybe Rick Lane. As Mark said, he could probably pull Rick into the conversation as well. And part of the reason that I felt so bad about the critique of this album is because I genuinely do still love this album, and I will definitely listen to it from time to time. So I was really kind of apprehensive to the point that it was really on my mind and maybe causing me a few sleepless hours throughout the nights in the past week. So what I decided to do was I'm going to reach out to Mark, and Mark, you're hopefully listening right now, and express that we had some criticality and encourage Mark to listen to the episode and then decide if you still want to talk to me. I hope you will. I hope you don't take any of our commentary too personally. We missed the mark on a lot of things. We didn't know a lot of the background behind things, and I'm hoping that we can get that in a conversation, because I know there's a lot of people that are listening to this episode that will know of D.O.X. and will be really excited about this episode and will want to know the details of how the band came about and how some of the songs came about and what the vision was. So I'm kind of being transparent here, and that's what I try to do in putting this out there. And I'm going to try to be transparent with you, Mark. And hopefully we will be able to set something up, and I will be able to put together a follow-up episode exploring some of the background that only Mark and Rick can provide. So anyway, that's it for today. I hope you all have enjoyed this nearly 3-hour journey. I'm calling it the 3-hour tour, like on Gilligan's Island. The 3-hour tour with D.O.X. on the lightship. Anyway, that's it for this episode, guys. Please come back. This episode will either solidify you and pull you in, or it will drive you away. So I'm hoping you will come back for another ride on the lightship. Talk to you all soon. Take care. And now I give you an excerpt from S. Price Horn's book, Wasted: Tales and Musings from a Nobody with a Weird Name. Short subject: Price. Price is not a name you are given. It is a name you are saddled with. It is a name that will forever be taken for my last name, or mispronounced Bryce, or Pierce, or as with the case of the substitute teacher in 7th grade who brutally mangled my full name, Prince Ham. Because surely no one would ever name a child Price. Or if they did, they would perhaps make it the unfortunate child's middle name, discreetly tucking it between two normal names so the type can pass for the kind of person who has a name instead of a noun. So when did I move away from the S and lean into the Price? Here's the thing. I've always been called Price. From the second I emerged from my mama's icky area, I was called by my middle name and not my first. As for the why of it, that's a question only my parents can answer. But it's a little late in the game to start dredging up dark family secrets from decades past. I'll just assume it was a clerical error, or possibly an attempt to hide me from my real father, an evil sorcerer warlord who needs my cursed blood to forever cement his rule over all of humanity. Yeah, that second one sounds kind of cool. We'll just run with that one.